Yes, people, welcome back to the Blue Morning Show. I hope you're all doing well, and I really do mean that. Today we have a lot to talk about. We will talk about the remaining three chances of each group emerging as the new owners of Chelsea Football Club. And then later on, we will talk about the game of the FA Cup game between Chelsea Football Club and Crystal Palace, but not in the show. We would do that during the pre-game show. So with that, I say welcome back to Chelsea Perspective. Let's get into it. Hope that we are all doing well. So without much further blah blah. Let's just get into the show. Today we already know that the Ricketts are dropped out. I call it drop out for some reasons that we probably do not know at this point. There are speculations that they couldn't come to an agreement on how to structure their final bid. That may well be the case, but also it's overall you could argue it's a reflection of how disorganized they were and how much of a problem they could have brought to our beloved club. But that's by the way. So let's get into it. I'll start by looking at those in the chat and show my appreciation for them finding time to join the stream. First, I see Amos Malusi who says we need a new owner who can deposit a 2 billion after taking over the club. Yeah, it sounds easy, but it's not that simple. I think it's not easy for businessmen to spend money like that. They are very, very profit focused, and as such, won't be spending as much as you think they'd be spending. So I must say, pick and choose how I say it that, or how I phrase that, if you prefer. And then we have Titek saying, ladies and gentlemen, it is match day. It is match day indeed. It is a big day, given the situation we found ourselves in, given that we are out of the Champions League. We do need to win this one. And again, it's not going to be easy because Crystal Palace, they play very well. They're not a pushover. They play a press aggressively. And if you understand our current team very well, you will know that we seem to struggle against teams that press aggressively. And in the case of Crystal Palace, they press aggressively. And they, more importantly, they press strategically. So, yeah, but that's by the way. And Ty also says Chelsea fans' preferred bidder is Todd Boehly, and possibly the preference are in the exact order you have it there. There's nowhere talent. I think people underrate Matt and Broughton group concern them too much. And again, if you go by what people has done before, they have his group has experience running Premier League clubs. He's proven Premier League proven, if you want to say it that way, given the job he's done at Liverpool. So I wouldn't count them out. So we must be careful how count them out again. Who knew that they get to this level? Actually, I think they are equipped, very well equipped to emerge as the new owners of Chelsea Football Club. And this is no more loss. 27 saying Blue Morning to you, no more loss. I haven't seen you a while. I hope you are doing well. Uh, Okay, let's see. Let me just keep reading what I have in the chat. I have first there, Bless of Kachila. Big up to fellow supporters in the chat. And that's a good way to start the day. And to you, my brother, Bobby Fairview, I say blue morning to you. And I hope you're doing well. And again, to inform everybody in the chat, I think we still have 2 places to fill up to have 8 contestants for the Roman Abramovich tribute contest. Let's see what happens. And then Fred all says, I told you Todd Boehly will win. He just got an executive counselor, or chancellor if you prefer, to help him. That doesn't necessarily mean he's won, but we'll see. That's just him. Maybe he has confidence that he will emerge as the owner. Again, I'm going to say this. I don't know why people uh, underrate the Martin Broughton group. I think they are well equipped to take good care of the club. They are Premier League proven. Martin Broughton himself, who's worked at Liverpool and also helped restructure Liverpool, and Liverpool operate as a well-oiled machine right now. Nick was with me here, and I just wanted to add him. He's gone. I'm not sure what happened. So, but that's by the way. Now, Judge Osborne gonna have Todd Boehly with these bid executive chancellor. Tell me how that makes a difference. I'm not sure what you're talking about. And I have some people trying to sell me viewers on Twitch. Please, if you can you just remove them or put them on timeout if that's what you want to, if what you prefer to do. Here, Fraser said, it's nothing to do with Premier League proven. Broughton partners have shares in Crystal Palace. It will be red flags. It will be red flag, but that is something that they can't do away with quickly. And they might probably sign some agreement and agree to do away with those shares should they emerge as Chelsea Football Club owners or drop out entirely. So it's not huge. How about if you want to talk about that? How about Stephen Pagliuca, who has a 55% share in Atalanta? That to me is huge. And there's a chance we may well meet them in the Champions League should they qualify. But that's by the way. Nick, we'll come back to Chelsea perspective. How are you doing, brother?
Yeah, big up to everyone. I'm just getting ready to make my move to go to Boehly.
Yeah.
I'm ready for a big game, must-win games. So, yeah, I can't stay on the channel too long because I have to get ready and go soon. Well, I'm ready.
Understood.
But,
Understood. Whenever you're ready to go, that's fine. But I want to ask you this question: are you nervous, given that what we do now? You know, we're waiting for Rain Group to announce the preferred bidders or bidder if you group.
Yeah.
Are you nervous?
No, I'm not nervous because I think it will be Todd Boehly in the end. But I know you want Martin Broughton, but we have heard nothing from him. He's so quiet. We haven't heard what's going on with him.
How sure are you that it's going to be Todd Boehly?
Like 80%.
Yeah, there's no guarantee. All we can do is just speculate. There's no guarantee. There's no way to tell that it's going to be Group A, Group B, or Group C, because we're not at the table. And you must remember the Martin Broughton group. They are. I'm going to send you the link. I'm going to add the link there in a bit. They are. I think they chose to remain. I think what's it called? They triggered the anonymity. But that's with regards to their participation in the process. So we don't know too much about them. So there's a chance they may well be the front runners. There's no telling. We're not at the table. But you go ahead to what you were saying.
Yeah, I just have a feeling it's going to be a Boehly. It could be the other two, but Pagliuca, I don't think he'd be him. He'd be out of the two, Broughton and Boehly.
Why do you say that?
Because he has too, like I said before, there's too many involved in that group. You've got too many people involved. That's not a good sign. When they make decisions and whatever, I don't think Roman is going to choose them. But we don't know for sure. Like you said, John Terry is still with them. But
that's the thing. that
Yeah,
raises the question again. That was why, if you remember, Nick, I argued to me that John Terry he knows something we don't know, because it
yeah,
doesn't make sense for him to
yeah.
attach himself already to a particular group if
Yes,
it's
yeah.
not sure they're not going to win.
That's why I don't understand that unless he changes, he can go with the other two if he wants. You know, there's nothing to stop him. So we don't know. We don't know really, but I fancy Boehly, and maybe John Terry will try and go with him. We don't know till it happens. But
Mm.
I just have a feeling for Boehly because he was at the bridge for the Real Madrid game with the board, Marina, and everyone. That's what makes me think it could be him.
Well, all the beaters were there. Were in the subsequent games. Also, I heard
Yeah.
Pagliuca was in the stadium. I think when Chelsea beat Southampton by 6 goals
Oh,
to nothing,
yeah, he was. Yeah, he was
and
at home.
the Ricketts sister attended the women's game. So
Yeah.
that's no guarantee, if you ask me.
No, it's not guaranteed. We don't know. Look, we don't know. I'm going with most people's opinion right now is Boehly. They're all saying Boehly. Most Chelsea fans. You know, that's why he's a favourite at the moment. Yeah, can't really say too much on that. I'm more interested in today because it's a big match. We have to win. At all costs, we have to win. And look, and it looks like it was meant to be for Liverpool to beat City. Why did they beat
Hmm.
City? It's for us to get revenge on them. That's what I really think will happen. Our revenge is
Yeah, I think
coming.
I would have been fine us playing either team, so because
Yeah,
we lost
I'm
to
not crying.
we've lost two legs. We lost on 2 legs of our league games against Manchester City. So I wouldn't
Yes.
mind us playing either of the team. But that's, by the way, again, I get your point on why you think Boehly. I think many people, majority of the Chelsea fans, think Todd Boehly Group will emerge as the new
Yeah,
owners of Chelsea Football Club.
we can all be wrong, but
Yeah, we
he's
can
the
all be
favorite.
wrong,
He's
yes,
the favorite.
because why are
But
all this part of
he's
it
the
if
favorite.
yeah, we're just seeing things from outside,
Yeah,
and thinking they're the best offer.
he's
He may.
definitely the favorite. Yeah,
Hmm.
definitely. Let's see. Whoever comes, let's hope he backs Tuchel. That's what I'm interested in. Give him the extended contract, at least 3 years contract, and leave the football to Tuchel. I don't want any interference from the new owners, on the football side, who to buy and who to sell. That has to come down to Tuchel. And if we fans smell that they're not doing it, we're going to end up like Man United, going protesting against the owners, like they are with the Glazers. You see what happened yesterday at
Hmm.
Old Trafford.
Hmm.
Thousands and thousands of them turned out. They don't want them, and they're going to be protesting for forever till they get them out. I can see that. United won't change unless they get them out. So I don't
Hmm.
want to. I don't want to. Go that route again. I just want the owner like Boehly. He promised a lot of things. Let's hope they do what they promised, all of them. And first of all, is to rebuild Stamford Bridge, not to move away from it, like Bobby was saying. That is a ridiculous nonsense, I must
Yeah,
say.
but
Bobby,
Bobby didn't category say
let me
move.
let me finish.
It should
Let
be
me
an
coach.
option.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
No, there won't be any option. No Chelsea fan wants to move from Stamford Bridge, and no fan will goes to regular fans who go to the matches. They don't want to move. Bobby is talking out of his head. He talks a lot and sometimes talks too much. He's a good talker, but he's never at the game. So that's what I have to say about that.
I think we should actually refrain from calling people names, but that's,
You're
by the way,
right.
I get your point.
I didn't call him names. I'm just saying he's wrong because the way he's talking. I don't know. Is the last time he went? Well, next time you see him, ask him when did he go to Chelsea last time. I want to know.
What if it, okay, no problem. But that's, by the way, let me ask you now. If at the end the Martin Broughton Group emerges as the new owners, would you have a problem with that?
No, no, I won't because Broughton is a lifelong Chelsea fan, so that's a good news. And what he did with Liverpool, he done great as a chairman. So no, I don't have anything. I just want them to back Tuchel. Whoever comes in, even if it's Pagliuca, yeah, they have to do what they promised to the Chelsea trust when they talk to them. You
Hmm.
know, they talk to them, and they Chelsea supporters groups lay down what they want, and the main priority, like we all want the redevelopment of the bridge. At the bridge, forget all this nonsense from certain people to move out, because that won't happen. You know, you might think I'm emotional, but I'm not. That won't happen.
No, I get your
And
point. Look, you're passionate. I wouldn't use the word emotional, but the truth is you're
yeah,
passionate about the club, and
yeah,
it's
but
only
it's not just
natural.
me, coach. It's not
Hmm.
just me. It's like thousands and thousands, 100,000 more like me, who think the
Hmm.
same. So I told you before, go and put a poll out, and you're going to see who wants to stay at the bridge or not.
Hmm. Mm.
Yeah,
And again, it's an anxious moment for all of us Chelsea fans. Let me just go through the chat, and I'll come back
yeah.
to you.
All
It
right.
says, so as soon as the selected bidder is named, then the government will issue a new license May 31st, only to allow us to play the rest of this season. Everything will be done before then. And then Tai Talk says, so because someone doesn't go to games regularly, they don't have enough say. We needed to be open to change. If Stafford Bridge redevelopment cannot happen, we will just remain there. It's as simple as that. But then again, that's Ty Talks responding to your input. I want to welcome my brother Bobby to the panel. Bobby, how are you
Oh,
doing, brother?
Yeah, happy Easter, guys. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter to you too. And
Yeah,
yes, by the way, happy Easter to all of us,
yeah.
all other people that
Bobby, happy
celebrate
Easter.
Easter.
I didn't mean to say what I said. I just, because I disagree so strongly about the move. I can't see
I
that
think
happening.
Bobby understands. If anybody will take this personal, I don't think it is Bobby. So don't worry about that. Yeah. So I'm
yeah.
gonna
I
call.
mean,
Go ahead, Bobby. Go
I,
ahead.
I feel I need to respond because I
Mm,
say something often because it has depth and may not be what some people like to hear. I then almost get called out negatively. I am not one of those people. I have been a Chelsea fan since 1970 when I was 4 years old. I've been going to Stamford Bridge since then. I do go to Stamford Bridge, but I don't advertise it. I don't take photographs of myself and post on social media and
Yeah,
things
right.
like that.
I
I
understand,
don't
Bobby.
even
Yeah,
show myself on social media. Why?
yeah.
Because I do a lot of security at Stamford Bridge and
All right.
it's not appropriate for me to always present myself forward when I don't need to. So I'm not one. Even if I didn't, I wouldn't do that anyway. It's never been my style. I am hardcore Chelsea. I have been there through everything since 1970, and even before then, as a kid, I was one of those kids that would take all those little uh, um, cards and coins that you get from Esso back in the day, the petrol station, when my dad would buy petrol. I am Chelsea to the button. And when I say things, I'm not saying it because, I'm just one of these newfangled fans that don't understand what's going on. I'm
mm,
saying it because I do understand what's going on. And as far as the stadium is concerned, I reiterate and I say again, Stamford Bridge is where every single Chelsea fan would love to stay. We prefer there. It is our ancestral home. It has been our home for 117, 118 years, whatever the time scale is from 1905. However, if we find ourselves in a situation where the redevelopment of Stamford Bridge becomes financially impossible, financially untenable, financially out of our reach, we may need to consider plan B. We did that with Roman. We may need to do that again. And I am practical enough and objective enough to face reality. Roman leaving and getting these new people in is a reality. I'm still not excited about all this. I'm not, but I'm sensible enough to know that look, this is happening. I can't change it, so we have to go with it and go with the best that comes about. Even if it wasn't the best, even if it was the Ricketts that took Chelsea over, it's not going to stop me supporting Chelsea. Even if we need to move from Stamford Bridge, as long as we don't move too far away and become something else, which completely loses its meaning, it's not going to stop me from supporting Chelsea. That's all I've said. And sometimes reality may push us to do things like we did before. Chelsea would have been rebuilt at the Battersea power station now, but for the fact
If
that
it
the
wasn't sold,
council...
to a different
Exactly.
people,
Exactly. So all this, Bobby's saying this, saying that. I'm not emotional. I'm not overtly emotional. Yes, I'm emotional when it comes to Chelsea, but I know when to check emotions. I am still hurting to this day from the Champions League
exit.
exit at the Bernabeu. I'm still hurting from the Champions League exit in 2000, defeat in 2008 in Moscow. All those things hurt me, but I know it's time to dust yourself down and move on. It is life, it is football, it is everything. And that's what I'm saying. And why I'm repeating myself is that I'm making it clear what I'm saying. It's hurtful. A fellow Chelsea fan that's been at the, supporting the club for years, probably as long as I have, maybe even longer, saying these things to me. It's hurtful. He doesn't even know if I've seen him at the bridge. You won't know that, and I won't tell you that. You don't need to know that. I'm not operating some sort of covert, operation. No, but there are security reasons for myself, for my family, why I don't need to expose myself like everybody else. And even if there wasn't, if I was just a regular Joe, it's not my thing. I don't post my pictures everywhere
Yeah.
looking for people's approval and things like that. I don't do that. It's just not me. And I just want people to accept me for who I am, because I accept everybody for who they are.
Yeah, that's yeah, I get your point, Bobby, and I think everybody knows how passionate you are about Chelsea, so there's no questioning your loyalty to the club. But again, we understand how you feel about comments, but again, he was trying to explain himself. He was emotional to himself about it. But we have to talk about these things, and people have every right to express their respective opinions. That's why we're here. If we all agree, then why have a show? We just go our way and wait for things to happen the way we've seen. We already know it's gonna happen. But that's by the way, Bobby. Let me ask you this before I go to Ty. I think the suffering is almost over. At least the suffering to a certain measure, because I think most of us are still in denial that the fact that Roman Abramovich will no longer be the owner of Chelsea Football Club, and that hurts so many ways. But that's by the way. The fact is, we're waiting now to hear from Rent Group the announcement of who becomes the preferred bidder. I want to ask you these: are you nervous, and who do you think, from your perspective, in your opinion, will emerge as the preferred bidder?
I'm not nervous. I'm just preparing myself for the change,
Uh,
and I'm praying that the investment into the club continues, because it's going to need to. As much as Man United fans complain about the Glazers, they're still pumping money in. Although they're taking money out, United are spending big money. So, a lot of their
It's just
problems.
that they've been spending recklessly, if you ask me.
Well, it's mismanagement, isn't it? Man United is too big for itself. And they're doing this thing that we're getting from Chelsea fans, hanging on to the past. This constantly hanging on to the past. Oh, Ferguson has to be there. No, he doesn't. His time is done, finished. Move on. Yeah, he can have somewhere in the executive box and all that. But do you have to see him every single game like some kind of shadow hanging over the club? No. You see, these are the things where that sentiment causes, having influence in decisions that the directors make and things like that. Why? Move on. His time is finished. This is part of their problem. And I think no matter how much money they invest, they will never get it right until they change their managerial structure, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch. It's as simple as that. Now, for us, I'm just hoping that the new owners come in with the ability to invest, because this is where money matters. Chelsea is high finance. It's a big financial structure. You can make a lot of money, but you have to pay a lot of money. The whole stadium thing, this is what I'm trying to relay to people. If you have spent 2.5 or 3 billion on a stadium, then you're going to need to spend how many hundreds of millions on players and various other things in and around the club. Then you're going to need to spend at least 1 billion on the stadium. If the cost of the stadium becomes astronomical, for example, becomes as much as the purchase of the club itself, maybe even more, where does it end? Money is not unlimited for anybody. And this is where it becomes a financial issue. And this is where they may choose to look elsewhere for a cheaper option. That's the only point I'm making. That is reality, because the building of the stadium has to happen for them to be able to increase revenue, because this is what is going to be about going forward. The club being able to increase its financial standing.
Yeah.
So, it's not about
So
coming on
who
here
do you think
almost
will
calling me
eventually
names and,
emerge? Go ahead. I
yeah,
was
I mean, it's
asking
not
who.
about coming on here almost calling me names and all that just
Yeah.
because I'm saying what you don't want to hear. This is the reality. It's not made by me. I'm just trying to say, hey, guys, let's just take this into consideration. We might need to do this. That's all.
Yeah. So overall, Bobby, who do you think will emerge as the preferred bidder?
Well, Todd Boehly really doesn't have anything against him. I don't know what his financial capability actually is. Something tells me perhaps it's not as great as the others. I don't know. But he seems to be, there seems to be least issues in and around him. He's been wanting to own the club for a good number of years, which tells us that he knows what he's doing, or he knows what it's about. He has sent the right signals by his actions in the Champions League quarterfinals. He's been in touch with the club. By now, he would have seen the books. And, there's no scandal that we know of that is attached to him. Pagliuca Group, there's this Atlanta issue, hanging over them. And, I don't know. I think
There's
he's
also
American,
the
is he?
bribery issue in South Africa.
Oh, there's another thing. Oh, well, there you go. Once you start getting these known scandals, it becomes a problem. And, he's an Italian American, is he? I
I'm
think
not
he's an
sure, but he owns a sports franchise in the United States. I'm not sure if
as
it's
well.
Italian American. So that's a possibility he is.
Well,
Anyway.
you know,
He's
there's
Italian American, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, there's a lot of issues there, and you know, Italians are as proud of their football clubs as we are. So where will his loyalties actually lie? Will Chelsea just be a cash cow for him? I don't know. It's a bit dodgy. Martin Broughton, uh, well, you know, forgetting John Terry, you know, John Terry, yeah, you know, we loved him as a player and everything, but, you know, I don't. There are lots of issues. You know, John Terry hasn't always shown the right sort of judgment in his life about certain things that he's done. So he's not going to be an indicator for me. I know he loves Chelsea. I would love him on board of any ownership, but that's not what's going to swing it to any sensible thinking Chelsea fans because he's attached to Pagliuca. That's almost meaningless at this point. The Broughtons, well, when you hide your consortium and you have within your consortium somebody that is known, when you hide the rest of your consortium and you have within the consortium that is known somebody that has a 25% share or up to 30%, I think, shareholding in Crystal Palace,
Mm-hmm.
it's a problem. It is a problem. Let's be real. There is a conflict of interest there. Will the Premier League allow it? I doubt. I have my doubts. Will it open a door for more scandalous attacks on Chelsea? Definitely. Do we need it? No. So, in view of all that, it just seems to me that Todd Boehly is an obvious preferred bidder if you have to choose between all three. And none of this excites me. I have to say that I'm not particularly excited about anything because there's so much wait and see about it. But yeah, Todd Boehly seems to be the one.
Yeah. Again, that's a good shout there, and I think I'm seeing a lot of new faces here, especially infamous TFC, and also who again? I think somebody else I've seen here. If this is your first time here, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. That goes a long way. And if you haven't liked the video, to trigger the YouTube algorithm to push the stream to people who will be interested in this particular topic, because this is more like should I call it a vigil, await, as we await the announcement of the preferred bidder for the new ownership of Chelsea Football Club. So I know I have BJ and Declan in the house, but I'm going to go to Ty, who was here before you two joined. But welcome to the panel, VJ and Declan.
Hey,
Happy
thank you, Kashala.
Thank you very much to you two. And again, Infamous says change is constant, change is inevitable, keep the blue flag flying high. That's the truth. Change is constant, but the truth is, whenever change is coming, there will almost always be resistance to change, but change is constant and must happen. That's the truth. And here I want to read this comment because it's very important. True Blue says, "Why does everybody dismiss the Broughton bid, thinking Boehly will be quicker? Will be quicker. Main shareholder Luxor at Palace has already set the wheels in motion to buy the other two shares. So I don't think that highlights the fact that those people that have shares in those two clubs, and we mentioned before, I think them doing away with the shares is not going to be a problem. They'll probably do so or forfeit their percentage in the consortium or Martin Brothers consortium, because I think there will be an agreement in place. Should this go through, you letting the other one go, or you let this go, because I don't think they will risk it due to conflicts of interest, like Bobby rightly mentioned. So, Ty, your thoughts overall? Are you nervous, and do you think will emerge as a preferred bidder? Ty, are you still there? All right, I'm going to go to VJ. VJ, you know, we're waiting anxiously, even as the prospective new owners await the announcement. I think we're all in the same boat with them at this point. So, your thoughts? Are you nervous? And if not, tell us why. And who do you expect will emerge as the new owners of Chelsea Football Club?
First of all, Happy Easter, everyone. Thanks so much for having me, Coachella. The thing is, for me, the timing really doesn't match. So, but anyways, thank you so much for the invite. I just want to have my, 2 cents very quickly, and I might have to drop off. Sorry about
Hmm.
that. But these three bidders. First thing that I'd like to talk about is on the conflict of interest that we talk about, right? I was looking into this earlier as well when we talked about the Pagliuca. I'm not probably not pronouncing his name correctly, but yeah, the Italian guy, the Italian American guy, um, who has stakes at Atlanta. So I think the regulation in itself, it calls for a, when an owner is interested in a different club, and if he already owns a Premier League club, that's when the 10 percentage um, ownership comes into place. What I'm trying to say is,
Hmm.
if you say, for example, own Manchester United, and you have 10 percentage of you have 12 percentage stake in Manchester United, and you're interested in owning Chelsea, you will not be able to, because the FA regulations prevent you from doing so, right? You can still have ownership in Manchester United, but that should be less than 10 percentage. Yeah, that's the FA regulation. But when it comes to the UEFA regulation, what it actually says is, for them, the control of ownership is 50 percentage and not 10 percentage. For FA, it's 10 percentage, and for UEFA, the control of ownership is 50 percentage. So until you have 30, 40, whatever percentage of ownership in a different club, and you are not the controlling authority or the controlling party of the club, you will still be eligible to own a different club in a different country. That's what UEFA regulations states. Now, they are more focused on the controlling side of things, right? The controlling authority of things. So if you, like, let's take this case, right? If what we hear is true about Pagliuca, who probably has 10 to 20% stakes in Atlanta, he
Hmm.
shouldn't be having a conflict of interest according to that regulation. But I'm not sure if there would be other legal issues around it. But this regulation is pretty straight and straightforward. I don't think so. They should be having an issue. And
Hmm.
also, another point that they're talking about when it comes to the regulation is that both of them should not be playing in the same competition, right? What I mean to say is, if Atlanta plays in the Champions League and this guy owns Chelsea and Chelsea also plays in the Champions League, he cannot at any point in time have ownership of both the clubs and be the controlling owner of both the clubs, right? So he can have 10% stake in Atlanta and can own Chelsea completely and still be, part of the Champions League draw and everything if at all Atlanta comes in. But he cannot have ownership of 50 percentage of or more in both the clubs. That's what the regulations state. So I don't think so. The conflict of interest with regards to this, at least, will be a huge issue. But there might be other legal implications that he might have to pass through. It's not going to be as straightforward as it comes. But I'm not sure about the South Africa thing that you talked about. I don't have context into it, so I'm not going to get into it.
Hmm.
So for me, I think the chances are very realistic for Todd Bowley. The reason why I say that is people always downplay someone like Goldman Sachs getting involved in the bid. I personally, since I work in the consulting industry, I know the value of having someone like Goldman Sachs as part of your bid. It's huge. Though they are not financially supporting, don't get me wrong, they're not financially, of course, supporting, but then they are on an advisory capacity. These guys, trust me when I say it, they know exactly what they're doing. They're one of the biggest asset management firm around the globe.
Hmm.
And when these guys are in something and they're trying to bid for it, they actually know what they're doing. That is the reason why I think if Todd Bowley has made it to the last three, and one of them is a Goldman Sachs advised bid, the chances that this bid gets picked up has is higher, right? Because of just the Goldman Sachs being there, right? That name tells you a lot. Um, so I think
And
even
just quickly, sorry, Vijay, if you're in the chat, I am not overlooking your contributions. I am highlighting some comments that are aligned with the topic and also something that's already one of the panelists have said already. So we're going to address it, something like this one here. and some other comments here. We're gonna talk about them when I get a chance. Go ahead, PJ.
All right. Yeah, like I was saying, Todd Boehly seems to be a more realistic option for us. Of course, I wouldn't have wanted all three of them if you ask me. But then the best of the worst is this one, Todd Boehly in this case. He had a good history of managing the previous sports club that he owned, and he's been quite successful at that. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good option for us, Todd Boehly. Um, One thing that I'm a lot concerned about is when is this bid going to complete? Like, when is this acquisition going to complete? Because a lot depends on this acquisition. You need to have your owner in place before your summer transfer window. I'm more critical about that because if you remember, Kachila, the conversations that we had earlier, like probably a month or two back, right, when this whole ownership issue started, we thought it would be a week process, right? No, 1 week or 2 week process, because the urgency of that situation led us to believe this could get this completed in a week or two. But we are
Mm-hmm.
still sitting here, yet undecided when it comes to Chelsea Football Club, who the owner is going to be. I don't like this because now all of the don't get me wrong, these three already have their set of plans in place, but they're not in the club yet to implement any of those. And it's not going to be as straightforward as it is. Once they come in, they can directly start implementing those changes, because a lot depends. Because the way that Chelsea is structured, the way that Chelsea is structured, the organization as a whole is not ready for a consortium structure. A consortium structure would be different from that of a single person ownership's organization structure. This organization is going to go through a revamp, though we like it or not. The directors are going to be changed, people are going to be swapped. The board of directors would be completely different. Each of the consortium members will have two people in the board representing their own consortium. These things are going to happen eventually. But when will it happen is the question mark. This will all happen only after you uh, get hold of the club, only after this everything gets completed. So the entire transformation of the organization needs to happen as quick as possible so that we are ready when it comes to the upcoming summer transfer window. Otherwise, it's just going to be Chelsea getting owned by a new owner, which will be the headline of the summer transfer window for Chelsea Football Club, and nothing else in terms of summer targets. That's what is a bit worrying sign for me. But I think I would side more towards Todd Bowley.
Okay, I think again most people do, and for I'm not I can't say for obvious reasons because obvious reasons, but for some reasons you've taken your time to explain here. I don't know why, but I think you do have a way of explaining things that it helps me understand a lot of stuff that I don't know even from most especially from a financial perspective. So thank you very much for taking the time to explain that. Declan, I'm going to come to you and to answer this question, question later on maybe. But I want to ask you first: are you nervous, and who do you think will emerge as the preferred leader, and why? But I want to go through the chat as soon some comments I've highlighted so we can address them later because this is an interactive show. I'm going to start from here. It says, but I think I want us to talk about this whether it's. I wanted that raised the question whether it's expensive to run a stadium because True Blue here says, Joy, man, you think Chelsea can afford two major stadiums? The women already have their own stadium. So we'll talk about that later. And this is Gabriel Kobina Asian saying, good morning from Ghana. Nice to see you again, Gabriel. I hope you're doing well. I think it's going to be sorted out in May. That's a possibility. And this one says, so Pagliuca has to divest in Atalanta to own Chelsea just in case they both might play in the Champions League. And that's a possibility because they're just 11 points off Champions League place in the Serie A. A crisis reason he is risen. Yes, for Christians, he is risen. And happy Easter to all those who celebrate Easter. A new owner will be done in May. Again, a Boehly in. Yeah, good. See that EPL would do the checkup from 18th of May. And I want to say something about that. I think I read something where I think the EPL saying that they are gonna get I think was it the Rain Group saying that they're going to get the EPL to do their checks before they pick the preferred bidder because they don't want a situation where they'd already picked the preferred bidder and then the EPL would do their check and say, there's a problem here, and which means that will mean the whole process would have to be restarted. So that's a good move if that's the case. But I want us to talk about that later. Informer says first thing new owners need to do is to tie down Thomas Tuchel on a long-term contract. It is the most important, but I don't think how long. The most will be 3 years or 4 years. Because gone are the days when your time managers are 2, 5, 6 years. What happens if things the stats are falling apart? Then you have a big payoff to deal with. Okay, I read that one. English transfer window June 11th. Europeans July 1st. Viola. Okay. President says Reina will send the paper to government who's winning bid, and government will approve them with a new license and let it go. Government will send it to the EPL for checkup, and that would take 1 to 4 weeks. But at least we're getting somewhere. When will the new owners be declared? As you've seen, some say I think it's in May or so, but it's not far away. We must. So let's be hopeful. First, okay, this is just a conversation between those in the chat, and I want to say thank you very much for VJ with that great input. I know you don't have time to stay longer, and if you haven't, then go check out VJ's YouTube channel. It's called Sports Wire. Great content, and he has a very powerful video on the structure of Chelsea and the financial situation at the club. So I urge you to go check it out. And before I go to declare, I want to ask you to please, if you haven't, be sure to smash the like button to trigger the YouTube algorithm to push the stream to more people who would be interested in this particular topic, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't. That is important to also declare. Tell me, are you nervous, and who do you think will emerge the new owners of the club?
How's everyone doing?
I'm doing well. I can't complain really.
You know, after you listen to like someone like VJ and Bobby's rare rants, which I was privileged to listen, how could I be nervous when you hear these two fellow gentlemen?
Go ahead, declare.
Well, I'm sorry if I repeat some points because I wasn't here the whole show.
No problem. Go ahead.
But I might have some disagreements with some of the people but we're all on the same page is I'm not a big fan of any of these three as well. And people have talked about how long it's taking.
Mm-hmm.
So people dismissed a lot of other bidders because the process had to be quick apparently, and obviously they're showing false now. The process didn't need to be quick, and it's taking way too long, to be honest. Way too long, and at least the positive when something takes too long, you get more information. But I've been complaining about getting too much questions. I still have questions. I don't know why these groups don't come out and say anything. I mean, you give us some more. Why aren't we meant to get a bit more information? Like, the Pagliuca was really late. We barely know stuff about him, and he's just riding a bus that everyone wants to jump on board now. Or he's not wants to jump on board. I think he's calling everyone to jump on, and you know, I don't know. You'll have like a 20-man consortium with him.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I did like about him was that he was interested in owning a football club and went with Atalanta, which is you don't buy Atalanta for the brand. So obviously there was somewhat footballing reasons in there too. So that shows already a genuine interest in that. But the 10-man. I mean, I think it's more than 10 people consortium. The thing of the Boehly group that I've been going around and asking people, because Todd Boehly himself is pretty good of what he's done with the Dodgers and that, but he's played a bit politician, and he's told people. He said this word that's gotten people rolled up about data sensible spending or data analyst sensible spending, right? And people have linked that with Liverpool type spending. And because Liverpool have done such good business in recent times, but they
Mm.
quickly forget about all the mistakes they made. It's just because people have short memories. And people link, so people would just make this quick connection that Todd Boehly is going to come in and we're going to be like Liverpool, or we're going to do transfers like Liverpool. That's exactly how people have really summed it up and put little thought into the whole thing. And then they champion Todd Boehly. For me, Todd Boehly doesn't know anything about football and hasn't said anything about anyone that's going to come in and do that job about football. And then he's got a worrying consortium as well. Since people said that, like, I mean, an investment from a Crystal Palace consortium was worrying, but what about a full Tottenham fan in a consortium? Uh, I'm worried about where Reese's shares might go after if something happens to him, and that's a question mark to me. And then you got Samata Boehly, who for me I kind of like the most out of all of them, but he's still got question marks too because we don't know his consortium. The only people we do know is the Crystal Palace share owners, and I mean the only positive you can get out of that is that these guys have an interest in football, have experience, and are willing to give up their shares in the other clubs, and that goes for some Pagliuca group as well. So they're willing to give up their shares in order for Chelsea. So there's a bit of a sacrifice for them if it does go through, and a loss of money just to gain to jump on board with Chelsea. Like the Todd Boehly group aren't giving up anything, for my information. But the Submarine Boarding group comes with some experience because there's a lack of information about all these guys and what they know and what they're going to bring. But at least there's some EPL experience there, and I can feel like they understand a little bit of what the league is about. Because just like how VJ said that we're not set up for a consortium, and if they don't understand the culture, footballing culture and English culture, right, and plus European culture too, when we play in Europe, it's a lot to learn and take in. And if they're just going to rely on, if they got unique ideas that they think they can get some kind of edge in this sport that hasn't been tested, I don't want to be a club that's going to be in some kind of trial of some new way or some learning curve for the new consortium that comes in, and we go through so many failures till they get it right. So even when people bring up like Liverpool are doing so good now, but the Fenway Group had a different idea, and they went through so many trial and error. They've been here for over 10 years, and it's only now it started clicking. But there was so many trial and errors that they've been through, and they did pump in a lot of money when they came in, and they did chase that title, which was a great thing. But now they're gonna slow down after this. So I don't want to be that. I don't want to do trial and error. I'm hoping someone comes in and just keeps it as normal as possible as we've been doing, business as usual, and just slowly, integrate themselves into everything. And that's why I feel the Samaritan Boyden will kind of do that. He would come in, he's already been there, he understands what it takes, and I don't think a lot will get changed up because I think with the academy and with the way we've been signing, if you take away the sackings, right, and the big money transfers and what seems to be a waste and big money spending, I think we're pretty normal, right? If you take away that, I think we're pretty. It's pretty normal for a club going forward with with the academy and we've got a lot of English players. So I think the culture, everything. I think everything we're doing right now is great for me. So I don't want anyone to come in and really shake it up. To be honest,
Yeah.
that's how I feel about it. Yeah.
So your choice. Who do you think will emerge as the new owner? At this point, preferred bidder. Did you say Boehly?
Nah, I prefer some other Broughton.
Okay. That's my preference too. That's by the
Yeah.
way. So Matt, coming to you, Matt, welcome to Chelsea Perspective again. Welcome back, so to speak. How are you doing?
All good, coach. All good, man.
Brilliant. So I want to ask you, are you nervous, and who's your preferred bidder and why?
I mean, yeah, we were kind of discussing this yesterday on the stream when we were talking about the stadium and the investment, but I'm not really nervous. I was always really optimistic. I try to be as optimistic as I can because, in this situation, it's going to be hit or miss. We could get a fantastic owner or, someone better than Roman or we'll get someone worse. But Todd Boehly, as soon as the Saudis pull out, I always want the Saudis, but as soon as they put out, my preferred was Todd Boehly because, obviously of the owners of the Dodgers as well. So I wouldn't mind him coming in. I'm not going to be too disappointed when he comes in because obviously he is probably going to be the new owner. I was just very happy that the Ricketts weren't going to be the owner. I was very upset that the Saudis weren't either. I was always wanting the Saudis, obviously, because of their money and how they spend it. But hopefully, Todd Boehly can do the same situation because he has run a club before. He knows how to run a club. If he does it right, like he does with the Dodgers, hopefully he can do the same with Chelsea. So I'm looking very optimistic. But I'm not as sad as I used to be about Roman leaving. I think Roman did well for us. But if we really dive in and look at the stuff he did, the Super Cup and some of the transfers, yes, he invested money, but some of it was a mistake, and some of it he didn't back some of the managers. But at the end of the day, Roman did a lot for us, and now it's time to move on. So hopefully, Todd Boehly can fill in his spot perfectly.
Again, straight shoot shot there to say who your preferred bidder is. Ty, your turn. If you're there, let us know, or if you're nervous, and who's your preferred bidder.
I'm not I'm not nervous, but I think it's a situation where you have to look at these three. These three are basically the ones that people would prefer. Obviously, Ricketts was the only outsider. So I think these three are probably ones that people should be fine with. The only concern would be that Steven Pagliuca has some share in Atalanta. But I think that's about it. I think for me, I can't say who I prefer, but I think the preferred one is most likely Todd Boehly because people have, bought into the fact that he said that he has data that will be able to, to have a model that people will say is close to the FSG one. But I've said this on a lot of occasions. The reason why their model works is because they allow the manager the opportunity to have a say in the individuals brought in. And the identity at Chelsea is really like that. So it's important that if that's the situation, that more, the manager has more say in what happens.
I want to read some comments here. I think I have saw something, but the starting of the comment is why I'm not going to read it. Again, the truth is, yeah, I think things have changed. Data come into play, in most cases. But how do you? I think in football, I think there are areas that it will not really work. But will it work? Yes, it's important in some aspect. But that's by the way. Bobby, I'm going to come to you with this comment right here. Let me see. Where is it? Let me ask you, let's start with this one because it's one of the comments that I highlighted. Why does everybody dismiss the Broughton deed thinking Boehly will be quicker? Why is that? And if you look at it, we could argue that the Martin Broughton consortium is Premier League proven. He was once Liverpool's chairman, but first of all, he is a lifelong Chelsea fan, and he did a good job at Liverpool. So why are people overlooking them?
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all. One thing I'm beginning to see from this is that there's a lot of selective hearing. It's very difficult for people to speak in a group without hearing what they want to hear. I mean, I have someone like after what Nick said, I've got Declared coming on saying I'm ranting. I mean, really? All I'm doing is just saying it as I see it. And just, I have always kept respect to what he says, but I do take issue with that. Starting off saying that, after listening to Bobby's rant, that's very disrespectful. And I'm
I didn't mean any
disappointed in you.
disrespect, Bobby. I kind of I enjoy it, and I came in at a time where you
Yeah,
were
I think I saw it as
emotionally.
he enjoyed it. He enjoyed it
Yeah,
because the truth is,
you were,
it's
you
a
were,
rant
I joined late,
after
Bobby,
all.
and you were hitting your
Yep,
a tone that was pretty loud. So I was like, oh, Bobby's really into it. And
Well,
it was more passionate
yep.
than
I know
rants.
the Clark
Probably
White
used the
word to
wrong
understand.
words
He
there,
meant he
Bobby,
enjoyed
but
it.
Yeah, right.
yeah. I
So
mean,
He
probably
said
the
it
wrong
rant.
was it was
He
choice
it
said
of
was a good
rant.
word.
thing, not a bad thing.
Yeah, not in a
I
bad way.
always
So
have
Bobby, go ahead.
I always
He
try and
shouldn't.
have
He
a lot
shouldn't
of
have
love
said
and
rant.
respect for everyone here, and you in particular, declared. You know,
Yeah,
you,
it was
Matt,
meant to
and
be a praise, Bobby.
and
Sorry, but
anyway, moving on, family. That's irrelevant. You know, just this Broughton thing.
Mhm.
Nobody is discounting anybody. Why? Because I think we all know as fans that we're not the people selling the club. We have an opinion, but you know, we just have to hope that the opinion is being listened to. And we are just talking out of hope, because if we were the people selling the club, probably these three would not be the last bid, you know, would not be whittled down to the last three bidders. So it's out of our control largely. I don't think anybody's discounting anybody. I think why coach is using the words nervous is because of that very fact. We don't know which of the last three will actually be selected as the preferred bidder. That's why there is this, you know, the talk of nerves. As far as, you know, looking at the Liverpool model, you know, I don't think we're doing that either. You know, Chelsea has always been unique. We don't really care about what's going on at Liverpool. We just want to do our thing our way, you know, for our good. So, you know, whether Broughton has owned Liverpool before or been involved in their ownership, I don't think it matters. And he kind of mitigates that by the fact that he has been a lifelong Chelsea fan and he is a season ticket holder. You know, it's not an ideal bunch, to be honest. And I think the bad thing about it is the fact that we do know so much about them, because ultimately, as I tried to use as an illustration yesterday, and even that is flawed,
Mhm.
you know, unless, you know, the Vatican and the Pope come and buy Chelsea, um, you're never going to get anybody who is without some kind of issue, some skeleton in their cupboard. Without, you know, that's just life. None of them are going to be perfect, and of all the imperfections, it just seems to be, and I use that word carefully, seems, those words carefully, it seems to be that the cleanest slate is Todd Boehly and his consortium. We don't, you know, but, you know, ultimately it's not our decision. But if you're looking at it that way, he would come out the preferred bidder. But Broughton, you know, all of them have a 1 in 3 chance. How's that?
Sorry, what did you
equally
say?
favorite.
I said all of them have a 1 in 3 chance to end up being the preferred
That's what
bidder.
it is. Yeah, I think that's the best way to see it because they're part of the final. It's just as if you know, trying to look at the final of a game where two teams are involved. Well, you know, 1 in 2 chances. So mathematically, I think that's the best way to put it. There's no discounting anybody now until the announcement is made, because there's been a few surprises actually. I'm still surprised, even though they're one of my preferred beaters given their experience in the league in the country. I'm surprised that they made it this far. And there was a time I was thinking, why aren't people talking about them? It looks like as if they're not going to go far in this whole process. But it turns out they've met all the criteria set before them, and that's why they're here. So they have a chance. I think people are mostly speaking from their own perspective, their own choice. I think we should see it that way. But I think let's look at that comment again. And I'll comment. Let me just breeze through the comments here. It says, Fraser says, what I want from new owner is to stop wasting money to fix a problem and fix a problem instead. And I believe Todd Boehly will be the person. Again, that's your opinion. And like I said, everybody voice, every individual here that talks about the situation, they all, each voice their opinion. Boehly has been the one talking the most. There's nothing he does that isn't so cheap. Posturing to the fans, be wary of the classic empty vessel. The truth is, again, this is business. We must recognize that, first of all. Nobody would want to come and spend it recklessly. I think we must face the new reality that none of these people will, because if they emerge as the owners, new owners of the club, will spend without considering how they're going to get their investment and then plus gain back. But that's, by the way, Ty, your thoughts on everything we've talked about so far.
Oh, well, for me, it's pretty weird because I don't know. I think a lot of things are all over the place. I'm seeing people argue over things that shouldn't even be argued about. Um, and plus, when you come on to this, like Bobby said, each bidder is left. They have a 1 in 3 chance. I don't think there's I don't think there's any favorites necessarily when it comes on to, well, considering if you omit the fans'
Hmm.
perspective of it, I don't think there's really a favorite because people will say they want Todd. You'll have a small percentile that say they want Sir Martin Broughton. You'll have some people that say they want Stephen Pagliuca because they're misinformed, and they'll say that he's done this at Atalanta, he's done this at this club, he's done this, and they're doing successful in this regard and in that regard. So I think for me, and that is why I can't have a favorite because Todd Boehly says he has some data and he has things that he can offer. He's also, promising certain things. You have Sir Martin Broughton, who's supposedly has some connection to the club, and people say that he has some part to play in some level of success that Liverpool have. And like I said with Steven Pagliuca, people are misinformed to say that he's done this at Atalanta. He's done this integral thing that has helped that club. So I think it's all over the place. Are really people don't really know what to think because at any moment something can come out at this very second saying that their preferred bidder has a dark past, and some of them are going to switch, and some of them will say, "Well, that's in the past." So it's there's no certainty as to what's going to happen, and I mean, I got a response from somebody who I asked a question. I know it makes sense to why they're so distant and they're partial when it comes on to the situation.
Yeah, I think we all can agree that there's no telling who will emerge the new preferred bidder at this point. That's the term used for it, because none of us are at the table with those who are responsible for selecting the group, the selection process, if you prefer. I'm going to start with you on this one, Declan. This comment right here, not this one in particular.
Me and
This
Fraser
comment
going back
here,
going. I hope he jumps on the show.
this one here, which I think it's in response to what either I think Bobby talked about the stadium. And the informer CFC says that Chelsea pitch owners are a problem, in my opinion. Chelsea FC should come first. We need a bigger stadium. Do you all think Arsenal wanted to move from Highbury to the Emirates Stadium? Let me just complete that. Your thoughts on the comments that Chelsea pitch owners are a problem, Declan?
Um, they are a problem in the sense if they're preventing a stadium rebuild, because I mean, Rory Jenkins is part of pitch owners, and you see how that guy talks. And if there's more like him, I'm a bit worried. But more than ever now, a stadium is way more important, more than ever, because they're starting to introduce FFP and a salary cap as well. So they're really starting to clamp down on um, the revenue, or like the overspending and the owner money, and it's all going to be about revenue. And since it is that, a stadium is way important at the moment since it's always been a hindrance for us, because 40K is way too low for a club like Chelsea, especially with international tourists as well that you can make money off, and everything that comes with that. So I think I think having a stadium is a massive priority, and the pitch owners are going to make it hard because they're making a massive case not to move. And I'm not familiar with the area, and I can just go off by what people tell me about the area.
Mhm.
And um, they said it's really hard of the area it's in, and one option might be that they might have to move. So we want to explore every option and whatever's best for the club, and the pitch owners are going to make it difficult because they own it, and they're going to do everything in their power not to move, and that could prevent the size of the rebuild. Maybe it's going to cost just as more. It probably costs more, and with a smaller size, they could be a bigger financial problem. Have a financial problem. So if them and the new owners go at it, then that could be a problem in itself as well.
Yeah, I think I agree with you because the fact remains, it's more like owning a share, isn't it? Bobby, correct me if I'm wrong. Being a pitch owner, it's more like owning a share, right?
Yeah, it's like a public share owning of the pitch.
So
Is the
profit is
best way I can
involved.
describe it. Sorry?
So there's some profit to be made.
Yeah, I mean, there's profit. The history behind it was to save the club in the first place. But those days have gone. And yes, there's a certain amount of profit. There are various things going on here. You have those that are looking to maybe cash in and make some money out of this, clearly. Then you have those, that are stuck in the old days. Because of a lot of the pitch owners are long-term Chelsea fans, there are those that cannot see beyond Stamford Bridge. They're so stuck in that nostalgia that they would, it's everything to them, and they're prepared to sacrifice everything for it. They do exist. However, the reality before them is, look, even an increase from 40,000 thereabouts to 60,000 thereabouts results in an annual increase in revenue from 50 million to 200 million. It's exponential. You cannot ignore that, especially if you're an investor. It makes no sense whatsoever for you not to do that. Secondly, the stadium, I personally feel that the expansion should be greater than 60,000, but there are logistical issues. There's the train station underground, this underneath the stadium, as well as waterways. And then there's all this electrical systems that they have to consider building up. Roman came up with an idea that he built down and up, which resulted in his bird's nest sort of state of the art design, which he was ready to do. Roman was a very serious man. He managed to strike a deal with the pitch owners to move to Battersea Power Station. Chelsea Football Club would have been located there, but for what the council did and decided to sell to property developers. Then there was the whole Earl's Court deal, and he struck a deal with the pitch owners as well to move there, and that was also scuppered to um, property developers. That was why he came up with the bird's nest idea. And he was about to embark on that project when he was sanctioned and couldn't come back into the country. And that was a very difficult thing to negotiate. He had to get planning permission from the council. He had to strike a deal with the residents that live in and around the area because of the increased movement of people on a Saturday. He had all that set up, but he had to do it in a time scale. And because he was banished from the country, the time scale lapsed. Now we're back in the same position. And what we have is the challenge of not only the pitch owners, but the residents in and around Chelsea. What will they see as suitable compensation for
Mm.
this? Roman gave them, struck a deal for compensation for this. Now they may come back and start putting down incredible figures. There are different people now owning the properties in and around Stamford Bridge, they don't particularly have that love for the club. I would like to think they do, but they may not. They may see this as an opportunity to make some easy money. So this was why I raised that issue that Nick got so upset about. That look, if it is not financially viable to develop Stamford Bridge, we may need to look elsewhere again, just like Roman did. The unfortunate thing is that, well, maybe it isn't so bad this time. We don't have the Battersea Power Station option, neither do we have Earl's Court. But there's the whole Mitcham Junction area that is a possibility. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but it is a possibility. We may need to move down to further South London, or, dare I say it, maybe towards Kent. We could strike a deal for Twickenham. There are options if you really put your mind to it. But the problem is, will the pitch owners agree now? I think they will. If it's not too far away, like Battersea and Earl's Court was, I don't see a problem with them. I really don't, because that was always their stance. Do not move too far away from West London. Do not move at all. That do not move at all group, they are a minority, because everybody who has real common sense can see that the sustainability of the club lies in the expansion of the stadium.
Yeah, I think you make a very
Bobby?
Yeah, brilliant. You made a go ahead.
Well, first one was, does anyone know if Nick is a pitch owner? And that's
No, he's not actually.
okay. Good, man. That's a good thing, I guess. With his
Yeah,
strong
because
stance.
I get your point, because the truth is, whether we like it or not, it is business for them too. As much as the club is a business for the owners or owner, it is that's we've established that it's more like owning a stock. So the fact is, I think since it's business to them, I think you can always find a solution that is come to a compromise at the table and come to a compromise with them, but it will cost money indeed. I don't buy the idea of that they all don't want the club to move. They want, if you give them show them the money, that agree to your, okay, yeah, let's do it, because it's money to them after all. No matter how you see it, it's an investment after all. I don't know how else to phrase it for us to get my view on that. Ty, you want to add anything to it?
Sorry, Coach, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask one. Could I ask one more, and you can sum it all up for me, Bobby? Just this question was more: do you think that the pitch owners were more lenient towards Roman because the president, for everything he's done and the reputation he had, and if new owners come in, that they'll have a bit more of a hard stance on what they want to do, and it might take time for them to warm up to our new owners to give them any leeway, but their first response might be, a real cold one.
Thank you. I mean, this is spot on. This is why, people don't understand certain things. This is why what Todd Boehly did on that Champions League quarterfinal day, when the Ricketts were taking planes out of London, this guy put on his baseball cap, walked with the rest of the fans into the stadium through the security, just like everybody else. That was seriously symbolic. Now, people might say, oh, it's a publicity stunt and all that. Well, yes, but at least he bothered to do it. And it was reminding people of Roman, because that was Roman through and through. Now, that already is a big tick. It endeared him to me. It endeared him to me and everybody else I've spoken to at the bridge. There's some of the tea ladies and things. They're like, oh, this guy comes up, he says hello. These things matter. They matter. And Roman was able to sort it out with the pitch owners and the people in and around the property owners in and around Chelsea, and the business owners, because he was approachable. People loved him. The pitch owners loved him. People could relate to him, and he struck that deal. Trust me, Roman struck that deal. Chelsea was about to be redeveloped. It was the government that banished him that stopped the whole thing. The price was set, I think it was set about 1.5 billion, and it was about to happen. Now, this is why I'm concerned. Just as you've said, one, the relationship between the new owners and the pitch owners, and look at how we're all talking here. None of us really trust them, but Todd Boehly has reached out. It matters. He's reached out, and look at how we're all talking. People talk about him now because he's made himself human to us. He's made himself a fan to us. And yes, I have to address that Tottenham fan the guy from Golders Green. He has, well, whether it's true or not, he's walked back. That he's a Spurs fan. He's saying now he's not a Spurs fan, just he lives close to Spurs and yada yada yada. Well, whether he is or he isn't, he's an expert. He's an expert in structural development. That's his thing. So these people that want to stay at Stamford Bridge, he's the man that could probably help that happen. So, and I think he was part of the people that were involved in Spurs Stadium. Don't quote me, if you check it, but he's into construction, so that's the expertise he brings onto the table. So yes, the pitch owners will be tough to negotiate. There are many pitch owners. I know them. I know a lot of them. They're very open-minded. Nick is not a pitch owner, but there are some that think like Nick. And in fact, because of all this, I'm trying to maybe look at the forms and become one myself from Tuesday. Start to apply for that, because I think there need to be more voices in there. But let's see. All of it depends on how the new owners present themselves. And if they come in with a distant approach, it's not going to work. Chelsea is a club that's steeped in a siege mentality tradition. We come together. We're family more than any other club. I think I know, because we're close. We're close knit. We always have been. And if you're coming outside and fans sense you're not really into it, they will shut down. Look at our players. If you're on the pitch, no matter how bad you are, just show us you're really into it. Why do you think we still sing Timo Werner's name till today? Why? Timo has missed, you know what I mean? It's his application, his attitude. He never talks against the club. He fights from the beginning to the end. You can see it. And so the fans connect with that. They stand by him. We wish him to do well. Why do you think Lukaku has lost favor with the fans? We all know this. We were with him. We all know he's got 2 left feet, but he showed love and he showed application. Then he did that interview. You don't do these things to Chelsea fans. You don't. So let's wait and see what the new owners do. Their public relations is massive if they want to win the pitch owners over.
Yeah, I think great input right there. And I'm going to go through the chat again before I allow Ty to, have a say. And if you haven't, please be sure. We have about 41 people watching and just 17 likes. I think we can do better than that. Please beef up that like count. Let's shoot for 100 today. And again, here is True Blue with some corrections on what I said. He said, here we go again. It's £100. It's not like normal share. CPO shareholders did not buy for profit. They own the freehold to the pitch. The money came from the club and is paid back annually. Okay, thank you for saying that. Says my uncle is a pitch owner. He said himself he's open to leave if options are great. Thank you for saying that. Also, that shows they're all not the same. Some people differ in terms of whether to stay or move to a much better location with a bigger space. So that's by the way. Ty, anything you want to say before we move on?
Uh, um, the, the, This conversation and this argument about two things, something that was spoken about yesterday about the stadium, and if it's fine to relocate um a bit further down so you can redevelop, and have a bigger stadium that has more accommodation.
Hmm.
It's so confusing because people are saying that uh we need to redevelop Stamford Bridge. We need to try to expand on it because there is a possibility that there can be redevelopment and addition can be done to the stadium. But what if the situation is that at the end of the day you have this plan to do this, and then when it comes on to finalizing everything, you're not able to fulfill your initial plans when it comes on to adding to the stadium, because right now what is being said is that they have to apprehend the the properties that is surrounded around it so that they'll be able to expand a bit further because of how close linked they are to other properties. So that in itself shows that there's difficulties to do it. Yes, like I've said, the stadium has historic origins. It has um, a close body to a lot of fans, match going fans. But at the same time, if there's not a possibility that these plans can be executed effectively, despite the people saying that it was approved, but if something can be approved and at the end of the day can be executed, it's not the first time that has happened. That happens in life. So the situation that people are saying that you can't move away from it because Stamford Bridge is the bread and butter of the club. Yes, it is in a sense, but at the same time you have to be open to change, and yes, this change is not something that you want to see. It's similar to the ownership. A lot of people don't want to see the change happen, but you have to go with the flow. You have to go with what's happening. You can't be saying that this change is happening and I don't want the change to happen. It's happening. You can't change it. It's the change is happening. But I'm not saying that that Stamford Bridge should just be abandoned completely. But if it's not possible to execute the plan, you have to be open to other options. And if the option is to find somewhere to have that full capacity that you are eager of obtaining, then so be it.
Mm. Good input right there. Declan, I'm going to start with you with this one on the screen, whether it's even possible. This is Bobby Fett. You're saying that hopefully the new owners can come in and get control of the Chelsea name. The pitch owners are looking after their own financial interests and were set up to frustrate any club owner. Again, that's your opinion. I think that's a bit harsh if you ask me. It was set up to, I think, for the good of the club, if you ask me. But again, I think it served its purpose. If there's the need to move somewhere else, I think they should, entertain the idea, and they could still be pitch owners too. So that doesn't mean they're not going to be pitch owners also. So your thoughts on this? Is it even possible for the owners to, get control of the name of the club?
Um, I don't think it is. I think it's set up in a way that
That can
they
never
can't.
change.
But I also believe there's probably maybe some loopholes around that. I think the dumbest thing that an owner could do is try come in and try take control of that as well, and really stir up, the hornet's nest, I guess, of pitch owners. So I think it'll be unwise to go that direction, but and also the direction of trying to go around them, because I reckon there is a possible way for them to maybe get by the name, maybe get by the club. Maybe there is. Maybe we could be called something else. It would be kind of ridiculous if we went down that path. I think it would be a dumb idea for any owner to even entertain any of this. But having said that, so when in the whole financial scheme of things, there's all this talk about that they have to be committed to upgrade the stadium or build a new stadium. That's part of the deal about purchase. So I think that, and I hope it's not,
Here's the
and I
thing:
hope it's not negative.
we're
In that.
not sure. We're not sure what the criteria are. What the
But
criteria?
let's just entertain the idea. Let's say that's one of the criteria because that's what's
Mm-hmm,
being reported. Yeah, for example,
mm-hmm.
and if it is one of the criteria, then the each group would be thinking how to tackle this problem, but they're not even in it yet. And I hope it's not it. And I hope they haven't found a loophole or a sinister way to do it, or maybe they underestimated the work that it will take. Um, it could be bad. It could be no good because I think I don't know if Bobby said or yeah, I think it's Bobby said it. There's some people in the consortium that know how to solve this issue or are experts in this, so that could be a big help too. So I think the good thing is that if it is a prerequisite or part of the criteria, that they're already before they even come to the club have an idea how they're gonna tackle this problem before they even do it. And if it isn't, it would be dumb for them to do what that comment said too. So I'm actually hoping they got good plans, not a negative, not a get around, but they actually got a good way of tackling it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
something, and if it's part of the criteria, they're actually proposing how they're going to do it. So maybe being being part of the criteria and as your proposal, if it's a good idea, maybe it's a big plus in winning the bid. So I hope that's the case.
Yeah, I do hope so. I think it was True Blue that said yesterday. I think part of the process is that you'd have to agree to keep not to leave Stafford Bridge. I don't know how truthful that is because none of us are at the table like we've established before. So it may just be what they think the case is. And here it says Sir John Terry, Dennis Wise, Jason Condy, and numerous former Chelsea players, pitch owners. But I still, okay, we'll talk about that. Maybe it's a
Aren't
discussion for
ex
another day.
people
Yes?
also pitch owners?
Yeah.
Aren't ex managers pitch owners as
Sorry?
well? Aren't ex managers pitch owners as well? Ex Chelsea managers, some of them.
Did you see that anywhere?
I'm asking if that's it because I'm pretty sure
There's a possibility, but I'm not sure. I don't know. So,
Tuchel was one of them and Lampard was one of them. I think Jose Mourinho.
okay.
Tuchel's already a pitch owner.
Get Steve Chelsea, big up to you. He says, get 30 likes. Yes, we can do even more. Let's shoot for 100. And this is saying the actual area for redevelopment is not just a stadium as you see it. There are 2 hotels, numerous bars, 2 club shops, and large concourses. Okay, and this is Phantom suggesting names, new names for Chelsea. If the pitch owners are going to be an issue, I don't like the accusations and attitude towards CPO shareholders. They bought the shares to save the club and its existence. There's no bad attitude. Nobody have accused them of anything here. We're just having a conversation on whether they are a problem or not, because the question came up from one of those in the panel. Okay, I see that. You're serious, actually. And what do you think about this? Todd Boehly, Mark Walter, and Herbert Weiss would share operational control of Chelsea should they win the bid? Okay, that's a good question. Bobby, I'm going to start with you. Is that an issue for you? To me, I'd say yes, because there's too many cooks, too many what stairs or something spoils the cook. I don't remember that saying. Your thoughts, uh, Bobby?
Yeah, I think the saying you're looking for is too many cooks spoil the broth. Just before I'd say that, I have to, make it really clear that the Chelsea pitch owners are not this sort of obstinate group of people trying to put a spanner in the works. There are lots of very, very progressive, sensible people. They agreed for Chelsea to move twice before. So it's not off the table. It is very much on the table if the move is sensible. They sanctioned the move to Battersea Power Station. They sanctioned the move to Earl's Court, both of which fell through. They trust Roman a lot, such that they were even prepared to relinquish the pitch ownership to Roman Abramovich. So, they're not that obstinate group. There are some, as in everything in life, that have a sort of a stubborn attitude and don't look at the bigger picture or the reality or the finances before them. But I can assure you that the majority don't look at it that way. Going on to this Todd Boehly consortium or group, well, too many cooks will spoil the broth. You can't have three people all calling the shots. You have to divide the leadership, if I can use that term. Now, they must have convinced Chelsea, Roman, and the members of the board selling the club, somehow that they're organized enough to run the club, because they're in the last three. I don't know what their plans are. It looks like Boehly is very, very much the front man. That Weisberg, whatever his name is, the Swiss guy, he hasn't warmed himself to Chelsea fans because of what he said about Roman, and he needs to walk that back quickly. He can't front that group. If he does, there's going to be a problem. We will have a problem with that sort of attitude. I can assure you. But I don't know what their plans are, but definitely, like with anything, you have to have a leader. This shared leadership. It's strange. It's strange. You can have shared. Isn't that why the Ricketts were part of why the Ricketts were meant to pull out, because they couldn't reach a financial agreement amongst themselves as to who's going to commit what to what. That is a fundamental part of the ownership. So I don't know, but these are the little things that make people lukewarm towards it all. It's a big change. It's a change that we aren't that comfortable with in the first place. And the worst thing about it is that we've come to know too much about it. There's never been a club sale where the fans have gotten so deeply involved, certainly not in this country, where we've actually come to see the bidders, see and get to know what they're about. Most clubs, it's done. The fans get told when it happens. So it's a very strange position to be in at the moment.
Yeah, I'm listening. Sorry, my son just walked in here. I'm coming. Yeah, I understand your point. It is a big problem indeed, because decision making won't be as simple as it should be. It will be complicated. Again, football is not run like day to day, or you could say non-sports businesses are run differently than football. Football, you have to have a structure in place. You have to have something like a director of football, chairman, and all that. But when this becomes the case, I think it is a bigger problem. Ty, your input before I go to Declan.
Yeah, um, yeah, yeah, it's actually something that can become a big issue. Obviously,
Hmm.
I mean, we've said this numerous times, that the difference between this ownership will always be that it won't be like when you have Roman and he makes a decision and then he discusses it with the board members and then they finalize their decision. It'll be a case where you'll have more than one individual having to meet these other partners, having to make that decision, and that can also cause the decision process to be slower. So it won't be um, a decision where one agrees, the other one agrees, or the other one agrees, and it goes like that. You may have disagreements going on, and if it's a case where they're going to be having equal operational control, it's going to be an issue, because then one can easily undermine another one's role and their authority, and then abuse that that authority that they also have, despite it being of an equal level. So it just fuels the acceptance that Ruben, we would never have another Ruben because Ruben is not Ruben was the sole person, and he only had to discuss with his board members. But now you're gonna be having groups that have to converse with each other, make that decision, and then the decision will be made to the general public or to the organization.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to prove problematic. And that begs the question, should we even be praying for them to emerge as the new owners? But that's by the way. I'm going to quickly go through the chat again, and then I'll come to Declare. This is the question we're discussing here, and I'll bring it all back on for you, Declare. And yep, and this is yeah, I've looked at everything that I want to look at. First of all, it makes no difference if fans are peed off and sponsors has the contrast you need to get over some your simplistic ideas. We had to pay Umbro 30 million and Adidas 40 to switch to Nike. And that is, yeah, once you want to opt out of a contract, I think there are some penalties you have to pay. Till now, we thought Boehly was going to be the leader, so to speak. Now, suddenly, this pops up, and I think it is an issue. That's why we just can't jump to conclusions and think one particular group will emerge the winners because things can change. Yes, 28 likes, and with that, I said we have 25 likes and we have 41 people watching, so we can do better than 25 likes. And the more we like the video, the more the Google YouTube algorithm will be triggered, and the stream will be pushed to more people, so we can do better than that. But still, I appreciate those who've taken some time to like the video. You go into consider like the other beaters are not so attractive now. Yeah, it's not. None of them are. White shareholders in corporations happen all the time. Multiple owners will make decisions through a board that will provide oversight to a CEO, but in this case, the club chairman. And again, there's a chance that will not be an issue. There's a chance we might not even know how they make decisions until we hear the club chairman, pass on the decision to the club without even saying the process they went through to come to that conclusion. But that's, by the way. So I'm going to come to you, Declare. Your thoughts on that this particular comment here?
It's Why it's a hard one to answer is because we don't even. It's a claim made, but I thought it's not. I didn't take it as like I took it with a grain of salt if that was the case because I always thought Todd Boehly had to be the front and center.
Mm-hmm.
The other guys were just going to sit back. I mean, if they want to come out as a united front and say I'm not just the face, that these guys are the face, well then maybe it changes the way we judge. Because the best thing right now is if Todd Boehly was the face, and everyone likes Todd Boehly, right? And that's why he looked like the front runner. But now, if the other two want to be front and center, then they have to be judged in the same way as everyone else is, and that for me will bring down more the consortium than what it is now with just Todd Boehly, because the other two don't hold much weight.
So again, I get your point, but it's concerning to a certain measure. And why is it? Why are people talking about it? Because probably they are as much as concerned as we are. But that's by the way. I want us to move to the next thing, and I want to start with Bobby. Bobby, we know that the issue with Pagliuca's group was the rumors of his involvement in a bribery, incident in South Africa. For Todd Boehly, it is that he owns, I think, around 150 million stake in a betting or something in Russia. I don't know how that's an issue. I don't know. But the case, let's talk about the Martin Broughton group. Bobby, are you aware of anything that you think will be an issue beyond the two of its members owning shares in two Premier League clubs.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know the extent of the consortium of the Broughton group because it's held in confidence. So there's an issue of transparency. That's what for me gives me a little bit of concern. But look, yet again, if you rifle through the dealings and the ins and outs of anybody in the billionaire bracket, you're going to find something wrong. It's just the way it is. And, as I've said before, it's only because this unusual situation has given fans an insight into the bidders and the person buying the club that we even get to know this stuff. Most clubs are sold and you don't know anything about the person buying the club until they bought the club. I can assure you, if the City owners and the Newcastle owners, perhaps, maybe less Newcastle because they just wanted anybody with money, regardless. But, if those owners had been subject to this level of scrutiny, they wouldn't be the owners. I've flagged up time and time again that, the issues of racism, racist allegations alleged on the Ricketts can very easily be on those two owners. I mean, they are overseeing it to this day, overseeing practically an apartheid system in their homelands to this day. So, where does it end is the question. There's always going to be something. I don't know anything about this Pagliuca bribery thing. Is it a sports bribery? I don't know. If it's a sports bribery, it's a concern. The Broughtons, they refuse to disclose the names of their of the rest of the rest of the consortium. Okay, is that a good move? I don't know, because we don't know about them doesn't mean they don't have skeletons in their cupboard. What if they're the Ricketts? So it's strange. I think the position I find myself in now, speaking personally, is I'm really at the wait and see point, and I'm waiting to see who gets ownership of the club and praying that they will do right by the club, because I've accepted that it's never going to be a choir boy.
Yeah, I think we have to face that reality right now. Again, but I'm going to come to you, Declan. But before I come to you, I'm going to read this comment here by CFC11, and I think this is the first time I'm seeing you here. Please, if you haven't, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. He says Boehly previously led one of the largest collateralized loan obligation transactions in history, 1 billion plus. Weiss hates Abramovich and has no interest in football. That's a huge issue. And also, he says everyone talks about the Dodgers and their spending, yet nobody brings the point that the Dodgers have their own broadcasting revenue, hence their ability to spend so much. All these options are no good. Declan, can you comment on this? Talk about these two comments by CFC11.
What's the other comment?
The first one reads, Boehly previously led one of the largest collateralized loan obligation transactions in history, $1 billion plus. Weiss hates Abramovich and has no interest in football. And the second comment reads, everyone talks about the Dodgers and their spending, yet nobody brings the point that the Dodgers have their own broadcasting revenue, hence their ability to spend so much. All these options are no good.
It's great points, because the spending is it's almost like an oxymoron with what everyone's saying. Everyone's saying he's going to come in and spend wisely, and he's not. He'll never spend like 100 mil on Lukaku. He'll never overspend. But in his own club, he's the highest. He has the highest wage bill in baseball, and so and that place has a salary cap, and it's a franchise, and they're not winning titles every year. They're up there, but he's a spending person. Now you can't say he's not going to spend. He's not going to make bad errors, because that's what happens when you do spend a lot of money. There is potential to make bad errors. So people forget about that stuff, and plus, yeah, and the point I brought up before, his other consortium are weak. If they want to be the face as well, then that brings down the whole consortium. Weiss, his comments on Abramovich, and like, and I didn't know he has no
Okay,
interest in
what's the
football. I'm not even
comment?
sure about
What's Wiss's comment on Abramovich? Can we talk about it a bit?
that. Is it the way he runs the club, wasn't it? I don't know word for word. We can pull it up again. It was quite a
Because
while ago.
the fact is, everybody has talked about it. Nobody has really told me exactly what he said. Bobby, are
He's-
you well acquainted with that comment? Ty, are you? Please help us so
he
that
said
the clerk can continue.
he said something to the effect that he has no respect for him, that he dislikes him, and that I think something that he's glad that he has been um, sanctioned. You know, some pretty derogatory things. Let me try and let me just.
That is serious. Go ahead, declare. Why
Yes,
Bobby
it's
trying
very
to help
serious.
us find it?
Yeah,
Wow.
you could see he's just he brings the consortium down. I don't know why he attacked Roman. I don't know why he went after him anyway. And then to try by the club, it's almost like almost it gives off revenge vibes because of how old he is, and he has no, maybe he's not looking long term, and he just wants to buy it to maybe stick it to Roman if he has a genuine hate, and then that means that anything that Roman stands for in this club, he'll hate it, and he'll go against it. You know, like just like the fans still might sing his name still, even with a new owner, and he'll be very against everything that Roman has done, and might want to rip it all down just and have, because it's in Roman's image, and he wants to put his own. You know what I mean, if he's spiteful, and he's one of the owners, that's a very bad combination.
I think I'm reading another one from Talks here, which reads Abramovich is trying to sell. Is that from Weiss? He's trying to sell his villas in England. He also wants. Oh, he says yes. Let me read it. It says Roman Abramovich is trying to sell all his villas in England. He also wants to get rid of Chelsea quickly. I and three other people received an offer on Tuesday to buy Chelsea from Abramovich. I think that's normal, but the one Bobby said, yeah, but thank you for sharing that, Ty. The one Bobby talked about, it's really concerning, I must say. Again, why would he make such comment? Bobby, if you're here, can you talk about this comment by CFC11? And CFC11, if you haven't, please be sure to like the video and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And more importantly, tell others about the Blue Morning Show. It's a daily show here on Chelsea Perspective that starts 11 a.m. UK every day. Go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Weiss' exact comments on Roman, but
Okay.
while I'm doing that, we have to remember. I mean, this is an 86-year-old man. To me, it's quite clear he won't be fronting the club. And, you know, people saying he doesn't care about football. Well, he cares enough to be part of a consortium investing over 2 billion or over 2.5 billion in a football club. So I don't buy that either. I mean, there's always a member of the board that's a bit suspect. Even Roman Abramovich had a board that's got Bruce Buck in it. Bruce Buck is not exactly the most diplomatic of individuals and has, you know, quite recently dropped a howler here and there. This is what he does. So I don't take that very seriously. I don't think anybody is coming in to make this investment with any kind of vengeful agenda. It doesn't make any sense.
Hmm.
You make this investment in order for it to succeed. And football is such a business that part of your success is your success. You don't invest in Real Madrid to put them into the second tier of La Liga. It just makes no sense. You would invest in Real Madrid to keep them at the top, which needs further investment. So I'm not that bothered by that. What I am bothered about is the way they go about doing that, because making a football club successful is not an easy feat. It's not an easy thing to do, especially in a competition as fierce as the Premier
Hmm.
League and additional competitions like the European Champions League. So you've got to know what you're doing. And will they know enough of what they're doing? Well, it's only time that will tell. Unfortunately, we're in a situation where we won't really know these people until we know these people. If if you get what I'm saying, we won't know them
Yeah, yeah,
until
I'm
they
with
actually
you.
take over.
Hmm. Yeah, again, like what if what if those that are participate in you can say utmost anonymity? That's a big problem. We don't know much about them until the whole process is done, and we go, oh, whoa, this happened. Again, like I've said before on this show, what if the Ricketts had chosen, to participate anonymously, then it would be in deep problem by the time we realize who they really are. But that's, by the way, it's what they're out of the picture, and I think we all can feel better now because we never wanted the problem. So now, Ty, anything to add to that comment, or you want me to move on?
Yeah, I want to say something quickly.
Yeah, go
Um,
ahead.
yeah, what CFC 11 has stated about the fact that they have their own, broadcasting, situation and things like that, and that allows them to be able to, to spend the way they can. It's key to know because it's a different sport, and I mean the demand isn't the same as in the case of football. I'm not
Hmm.
downplaying the sport because the sport is actually good to watch, but it demands a different amount of financial support. You can't invest the same that you'd invest in the situation of a baseball sport. No,
Hmm.
it's important to know that you're not gonna be seeing them spend this amount just because their net worth is this. I think that's why I keep saying people are misinformed. They believe that because somebody is worth this amount means that they'll be able to spend a particular amount, and that's not true. They'll have to spend intelligently. They won't be spending extravagantly, and that's why it always goes back to we're not going to be spoiled like we were spoiled on the Roman Abramovich because we can say we were spoiled. If there's an issue, I'm not saying we splash cash on it, but we'll find the best option. If there's no other option, closer to home, we decide to sign players, whether it's for 20 million or situations like that to resolve that issue when every other prior option isn't working. So not because they are spending this, and there's something to know that they at LA Dodgers they signed the champions, their best players, and and people may look at that to say that, oh, they're doing that, maybe they're going for the higher competitors in football for their best players and get that in, which is why that's misinformation. People are unaware of the way that they operate. And yes, Todd Bowley seemed like his consortium and his group and his partners, obviously minus Wiz, obviously they seem like they're good on paper, but you have to be able to know that their background, and that is why it's important that fans are not choosing in any shape or form what happens, and the background is being checked to ensure that what they're promising is sensible and it's doable because the promises that they've made, it sounds rational, but will they be willing to do what they are promising? That is the important question.
Yeah. Great input right there. Anybody want to talk about anything further about the group before we talk about? I think because I wanted to really talk
Yeah,
about this. Go ahead.
yeah, coach. The fact that it's now so difficult to find the wise negative statement against Abramovich
Hmm.
just goes to show that there's some kind of retraction taking place there.
Yeah,
Because he
yeah.
certainly did say that, and now you can barely find it. Before you just click on it and it comes out.
Hmm.
So they're serious about this bid. The only other thing is, an 86-year-old man, really? You start to wonder how long that's going to last. I don't want to wish anybody bad, but you know what I'm saying? How long is
Hmm.
he going to be around for? Is his company going to be the people actually behind their investment? Because
His
if it's
Hmm.
daughter.
down to him, that's a pretty short-term investment.
Hmm. Yeah, I think you make a good argument there. So let's talk about. I want us to talk about these guys here. Yeah, the Martin Broughton group, because I want us to know there's something that's been talked about them. I think it has to do with sale of weapon or something like that. I'm not sure. Let me please correct me if I'm wrong. If it's shot and you're well active, because we talk about the issue with Stephen Pagliuca, whose own issue was selling. There's his involvement in the bribery case in South Africa. For Todd Boehly, it is his investment in Russia. For these guys, what if you're acquainted with what the issue was? I think it was talked about a while ago. I'm not sure. Please do let us know. I really do want to know. Declan, are you aware with what the problem was with the Martin Button group?
No, I haven't heard of the problem. Was there?
Uh, yeah, go ahead. How about you, Bobby?
Yeah, I haven't heard of the problem, but I've just sort of had another look at this Martin Broughton group. Is that the one where Sebastian Coe is involved as well?
Yeah, that's the group.
Yeah, I mean he is a very, very, very strong contender. We don't know who the rest of the consortium is, and there's that John Harrison, the Crystal Palace situation. But it's an English-led group,
Hmm.
and that will be very difficult to overturn. Not just for the fact that they are English, which shouldn't really come into it, but is an advantage. But the fact that they understand the culture, they know what it means to progress an English football club, and he's a fan. I think he's going to be the dark horse in this. And
Yeah, I think
if
I've,
anybody
yeah.
can Yeah, if
Go
anybody
ahead, go
can
ahead.
upstage Todd Boehly, it's going to be him. But I've never heard anything about this arms situation. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Please, if you're in the chat and you know any issues with the Martin Broughton group, please do let us know. I think we talked about it on the show here the other time. I've forgotten, but I think if you ask me, I say they have the cleanest of slates of all the group. They have lesser problems, and like you I argued, the fact that they are based in the country, and the fact he was once Liverpool's chairman, and he did a good enough job there. I think that alone makes them actually the favorite. But like you call them dark horses, people I don't think people who are favoring Todd Boehly, I don't think they've looked at the Martin Broughton group quite well. And the shares of those other two people in other clubs in the EPL isn't that much of an issue. I'm sure they will have an agreement in place. Should they emerge the new owners of the club, you will most definitely sell your shares. And like we've learned from the people in the chat that they're already that's the majority shareholder in the club are already preparing to buy those shares off of them. So I don't think that would be an issue if they don't have any other issue. Let me see here. It says it's not okay. Situation is being a deal with. He was allowed to be Liverpool chairman, so cannot be an issue. So if that's the case, they are much. You could argue they are the favorites. Declare your
Yeah.
thoughts.
So sorry, Declared. If I can just jump in quickly on this Broughton thing.
Yeah.
You know, because I've just I'm looking at their background. I'm thinking, wow, okay. I mean, Seb Coe is with them, and let me tell you, Seb Coe is a very, very, very strong Chelsea fan. If anybody can get the pitch owners on board, despite whatever political affiliation he has, it will be Seb Coe, and I believe he's probably a pitch owner himself. So, if that's an issue, I don't think it is, but you know, if that's an issue, I am looking at this. This is a strong bid. This is a very, very
Okay,
strong
you're
bid
looking at their bid. Can you tell us what you see? Educate us on what you see, Bobby.
in terms of who is bidding. You know, you've got two Englishmen bidding for an English club who understand English football, who have been involved in sport at the highest level. Sebco has been a lifelong Chelsea fan, a season ticket holder. He's not a front runner, but he knows what the fans want. He was involved in the Olympic bid for the country, so he understands sporting politics, sporting dynamics. Sir Martin Broughton, despite his involvement in Liverpool, he is a long-term season ticket holder. He is a Chelsea fan. You can't sniff at that because you and I both know that being a Chelsea fan is not something you can fake. It is a life. It is in you. If that thing gets you, you are in it. And the only thing that I think counts against them is the hidden aspect of the rest of their consortium. Why they're doing that, I don't know. Who they are, I don't know. But if you're looking at Sir Martin Broughton as an individual, you're looking at Seb Coe within that group. John Harris, the guy that's questionable with his shares in Crystal Palace. You're looking at a very, very strong footballing bid. They know what is needed. They know the stadium needs expanding. They know the Premier League competition. They know the Champions League competition. That's going to cause Todd Boehly some big problems. They are a strong bid, a very strong bid.
Yeah, sorry, I want to say something quickly. You know, and this is why a couple of days ago I was saying that, you know, this, even though people don't really find it interesting, I find it interesting because people want Todd Bowley, and then you have this information coming out about Sir Martin Broughton. Little is known about them, and I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people in the fan base have said that. Do not be surprised if the owner ends up being somebody that you know little about. And I mean, he was at one point the onboard bidder. Um, Obviously, we know Stephen Pagliuca and Sir Martin Broughton were the two onboard bidders at that very point when, you know, obviously when you had the Saudi group in it as well, and you had Ricketts family being a part of it. So I find it interesting that, you know, you have two, you know, candidates that I don't want to say equally, but they both have an opportunity and a chance, and it all comes down to which one is preferred based on, you know, what decision is chosen, how the individuals that are responsible for choosing the the next order, which one they think is more applicable to you know to do what the club needs to be done. So I find it interesting that this situation is the way it is, and I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, I don't have a preferred one because I think I'm looking at each of them equally, and you know, being open to any one of them because at this time I've already accepted that we're not going to have anybody who will be able to do or be able to risk what we saw be the risk in the past.
Yeah, Declan, let me ask you
Yep,
this: are
just
you
very patient.
concerned? Go ahead. You wanted to add something?
Yeah, with that original question, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead
And
if
you
you wanted
addressed
to
it
add
before.
something. I wanted to add you something else, though, but
I
go
just want
ahead.
to that's why what Bobby said was the reasons why I was a preferred bidder. Like the the problem I had was only the Ricketts actually came out and gave their 8 point plan. None of the other bidders actually said what they're going to do. And then and Bobby really liked what Boehly did come to the ground. It's great, even if it is PR, it's still great. But for me, when I hear lifelong Chelsea fans, they've been doing this for years, for the whole, let's say maybe the whole life, right? Going to the games and watching and following and emotionally invested for years. Todd Boehly may have just done it now. He just picked it up now. So there's something more stronger to me, than that, than showing up just now to some games. Hey, maybe Todd Boehly maybe he's been a fan for maybe 5 years or something like that. Maybe, I'm not sure, but he's rocked up to his first game, I think, just recently, and it does look really good. But we got to take into account there's English fans also invested, not in, like in the consortium. They're footballing people. They're people in business in England. I also believe that we might be in a better state with media, because I always felt Roman being Russian, or maybe being that new club that came out of nowhere, paid with money, Olga. I think that's why everyone was against us. That's why we felt like it was us against the world as well. I think that played a part, because where I got a glimpse of that, when Lampard was our manager, the whole media thing changed. I never seen a manager get that much leeway and play down questions and everyone talking about players instead of Lampard. And Lampard did a lot of mistakes, and Lampard was favoured. And Lampard is royalty in football, and you can see just from the manager. Imagine we get a lot of big representatives from the hierarchy of the elite society of England, and they're massive fans as well. And so Broughton has videos out there of what he wants to do that isn't gone around. He's very fan focused as well, and he talks about the situation that's happening now, and with a consortium, it will never happen. And he talks about long term, and he says a lot of great things. It's just that it's not gone around in the Twitter world. Like, for me, that people just picked up the Boehly thing because of quick things that he said and not really research. But there's something deeper with Samantha Broughton's consortium. But there is a question mark with the unknown as well, and that is question mark. But I hope he comes true, because I think because he was a chairman of Liverpool, I think he can come into Chelsea and steer the ship pretty quickly. Where I think Todd Boehly might need a trial and error. It's not to say he won't be good, right? I have doubts in a bit of all of them, but where it comes to preference and where I'm looking for, because none of them have been open on what they're going to do. We can't hold them accountable to anything because they haven't said anything, right? They can do whatever they want, and we can't say, "Well, you said this." So, besides Todd Boehly and some of his things that he said, but even that's all vague. So, end of the day, we don't know what any of them are going to do. But I think without words, without saying any politics, they let actions and history and experience speak for themselves. And I think that Samantha Broughton group has that. Plus they're Chelsea fans too, so they're with us. They hold that same pain that we went through and emotion.
Yeah, I think
And
that
they still live to tell.
Huge
They still live to tell the day.
difference.
We're heart attack FC, and they managed to live through that.
that makes a huge difference, honestly. So I appreciate you finding time to say that. But that brings to mind something else I wanted to ask Bobby. From what Declan said, Bobby, I know you heard him say something in line with maybe if they emerge, if the Martin Broughton group emerge as the winners or new owners of Chelsea Football Club, that will help change the media's treatment of Chelsea Football Club.
Yeah, I take a lot of that on board, and I think what Declared said is very accurate. However, a lot of the anti-Chelsea sentiment that we get from the media is mainly because the media's agenda is to push the agenda of clubs like Liverpool Arsenal, Arsenal to a certain extent, certainly Liverpool and Man United, because they
And
populate
at
the
the same
media.
time, push false narratives about us.
Yeah, because they populate the media more than any other club. Having said that, why Lampard had so much favour in media is that he has a direct family in media. You know, people like Jamie Redknapp, who's his cousin, Harry Redknapp, who's his uncle, I think his mother's brother. You know, that he has that direct relationship, and they won't do
Hmm.
it down. So, because you know, when we had Ken Bates, we were still hated. You know, perhaps even more so because he was quite outspoken. Having said that, you know, the more I think about it, the Broughton's bid is strengthened not only because they are English in the main sort of front of the bid. I'm sure in the background will be American money somewhere, but they understand English football. They understand Chelsea in particular. And should there be a need to relocate, they will stand a better chance pushing it through because of their relationship with the fans than the Americans will, or any of these foreign bidders will.
Hmm.
You know, it just seems an almost seamless transition. They would know that there needs to be investment in the club, and they, you know, they're English based. They won't easily live it down if they don't perform. You know, they're not going to run away and sail off into the sunset like, you know, some foreign set. They're going to be here to live down whatever it is they do with Chelsea. So perhaps that's the way to go.
Yeah, I think you're very correct. And let me see if you are in the chat. Please let us know if you have any question, and we will try to answer your questions. And but let me see. Your Facebook is okay. Okay, again, that's you. Your story with Facebook. I think there's something else here I want us to address. This here that says if the pitch owners wants to have a club, okay, let them keep the name. I think can you, Bobby? Can you educate us more on that is how the pitch owners are in control of the name of the club?
I think at the time the pitch owners came to buy the lease of, well, on the pitch,
Uh,
it was bought in that name. So, for example, if you buy a house at number 10 Downing Street, that number 10 Downing Street is what you've bought. So that belongs to you per se. You hold that lease for that property. So somebody can't just come and buy a house on the next street and call it 10 Downing Street. There's a sort of legal implications of that. You have to call it what it is elsewhere. And should you wish to do that, you may, you know, I may not be describing this correctly, you will need to get the legal permissions of those that actually do own 10 Downing Street to call it 10 Downing Street. Please forgive me if this is not a good example. So the fact is, they bought Chelsea Football Club. They bought the pitch and they bought the name. They bought the franchise, if you were, if you like, as the name Chelsea. So it's like when you buy a business, every business has a name, and that name is registered to that business. And if you want to sell the business, you have to sell it with that registered name if you want it to continue as that entity. And this is where we are with the pitch owners. You know, we need to yet again be careful. They are not anti-progress. They have in the past agreed a move twice. So, you know, it's just that they wanted it. They clearly stipulated that they just want the club, if they can't develop Stamford Bridge, to move not too far away from West London, so it
mhm.
doesn't lose its meaning. And as it happened, those two moves were still located in West London. They're obviously within a stone's throw from Stamford Bridge itself. So they're not anti-progress. And I think with the Broughton bid, they will understand that better than anybody. And they will do everything they can to stay at Stamford Bridge. But should they need to move, they will be the best communicators of that move than foreign investors.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about this. I think it's important because I read something that Ring Group, their plan was to, complete the check for all four bidders who made it to the final phase. I think to so that they don't have the issue of after the whole process is done, then they find out the person that they chose as a preferred bidder didn't even pass the vetting process. That is if that's the case, because that brings to mind what if that's not really the case, and after the whole process in the government or I think the Premier League complete the vetting process and say, there's an issue here, you're gonna have to go and find another owner. So, Bobby, your thoughts on that?
Well, the vetting process is in process. This is the whole thing. They've done this in such a way that part of the
That's
bidding.
that's where I'm concerned. Shouldn't it be completed even before they selected the preferred bidder?
I think it will be. That's what I'm saying. The vetting process is in process. And I think before you are selected as a preferred bidder, you would have been vetted. That's why, all this thing like the right and proper persons being selected via the Premier League, that might be the only thing that's outstanding. But I think that's going on as well. That's partly why it's all taking so long. So that by the time they announce the preferred bidder, that they will be, with just paperwork to get them to be the finalized owner. That's my understanding. I could be wrong, but that's my understanding of the current process. The vetting is on. They are being vetted. That's why certain bidders initially, certainly in the first round, were disqualified on various reasons. One of which they couldn't prove their financial capability, and secondly, I think there were issues in and around the personalities or in the bid. So, we as fans, a lot of us are saying, oh, we wanted the Saudis and things. Who were these people? Were they really what they said they were? Because apparently not. If they were, they'll probably still be in the running.
Yeah, I think that was something. I think it was when the staff was still joining on the panel here. We argued that I think they're from a rich family, but the Saudi media group themselves isn't even worth that much, and will make a difference. Plus, we considered the conflict of interest, given that their family member owns Newcastle United. We knew before time there'd be an issue, and then at the end, it turns out they were not able to prove where they're going to get the money from and all that. Again, and then there were some people who even said they emailed their proposal to the wrong email address, some nonsense. Some individuals, pounced on the opportunity and used it as a publicity, uh, publicity stunt, if you like. Ty, you want to add anything? I know you said you believe in a bit. Ty, are you there? Okay, so Declan, on the final note, I want to ask these. I think we're not going to talk about much about the ownership again until probably we have an announcement, but it will continue to be part of the Blue Morning Show because I think there will all something, there will all something new will always pop up, and then we have to talk about it. So, Declan, your thoughts on everything that we've talked about today?
Um, yeah, it's probably to sum it up because I've probably repeated my points a few times. That we are still guessing. Do you know what I mean? We still don't. We're still trying to figure out what he's, what this owner's going to do and what this owner might do, and I think it's crazy that process gone this long, and we barely know what's going on, to be honest. Um, and that's why, like, I bring up the points about looking into people's histories and just basing it off that rather than what. Like, it would be great if we maybe got an insight to what the criterias were, or maybe look, the Ricketts even came out and gave out a plan, um, even though how they were looked at. Then why wouldn't everyone else come out and say what they're going to do, and then we can hold them accountable when they come in for it as well. So it's still very cloak and daggers for me. Uh, and I find that I laugh every time because everyone's reporting, oh, it's going to be concluded next week, and it's been next week
Mhm.
for quite a bit. So I do hope it's done soon, just so I know, and I think I would hate that it gets done mid off season, and then there'll probably be not a massive chance of transfers or that will disrupt everything or disrupt the preparations.
Mm.
So I'm hoping it does get done soon, so we don't talk about who's the preferred bidder. We could talk about what we hope they do.
Okay, understood. And you make a very good point there. Phantom, you're joining it right now. It looks like you have something to say. But before that, I want to read this comment, which says, hopefully the report by Kuwait Times has some truth about the Kuwait Investment Authority, Chelsea being potentially interested in Chelsea. Where are they now? They should be part of the process if they were really interested. So I'm not sure. CFC 11, I'm not sure your comment where it's going to. The truth is, if they're really interested, where are they now? We only know of the three people remaining in the
Is
process,
he
and
referring to
not the
the
Kuwaiti.
PSG group with the PSG owners?
No, Kuwaiti group is different. No, PSG group is Qatari, I think.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Yeah. So, Phantom, it looks like you have something to say. Go ahead.
Yes. My question is, do the Chelsea board or plank owners or whatever you want to call them, do they own the sound of the word Chelsea? I mean, if we change that last letter from an A to an E, does that legally mean we can still call the team Chelsea with an E instead of Chelsea with an A? And if so, then let's just change the name to Chell Lions. And I don't think we're going to lose a single fan over that. If that must be, if we cannot call the team Chelsea if we move to a better location, and they go like, no, we don't want that location, but then okay, fine, we're the Chell Lions Football Club. Are we really going to lose Coachella? Are we going to really lose Stav or Bobby Fairview or anybody? Are people going to really stop becoming Chelsea fans over something so minor by changing a letter or changing just the name slightly?
We probably can't use the lines.
Here's the thing.
Probably take that away too.
Yeah, branding isn't that simple. And for modern business, and again, brings to mind that Chelsea itself is a business, first of all. In modern businesses, branding is everything. Changing an A, the A to E, again, you're creating even more problem for yourself to deal with. You have to rebrand, and rebranding isn't that simple.
Yes, but what I'm saying is it doable? I mean, if it prevents us from building a new stadium somewhere else.
Is it doable? Yes, but it doesn't make business sense if you ask me.
I don't even think it's doable, to be honest. You can be taken to court if something sounds and represents very similar.
No, I don't think so. I get your point, Declan. I know a lot of nonsense do go to court in terms of even sound.
Isn't the area called Chelsea as well?
Yeah, there are people's names people who go by the name Chelsea.
No, the area that Chelsea is in. Isn't that an area as well?
I'm not sure how. But let me ask Bobby this. Bobby, you heard what Phantom said. Your thoughts? And this is the kind of response I'd like Staff to be here. He'd start a fight with Phantom immediately.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, and Nick Blue. Listen, the branding of Chelsea was founded in the culture of English football. Now, when all this started in the early 1900s, late 1800s,
Mhm.
People supported your club because your club represented your area. If you lived in Chelsea, you supported Chelsea. If you lived in Manchester, it depends on what part of Manchester you lived in. You either supported Manchester City or Manchester United. So the founding meaning and the reason behind Chelsea Football Club is that location, Chelsea. Chelsea FC represents the location of Chelsea in London.
Yes, but
Now,
ironically, they play at Fulham Broadway. They're technically a Fulham team.
well, Chelsea and Fulham are one and the same thing. Chelsea and Fulham is the same area. Fulham is in the borough of Chelsea and Westminster.
I'm sorry, Mikhail comes
No, that
again.
is factually
Sounds
wrong,
like
sir.
Hull
That is
City
factually wrong.
Tigers.
That I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt, but Fulham and Hammersmith is one borough, and Chelsea and Kensington are one borough. So you're entitled to your opinion, but you're not entitled to a misfact.
Well, I'll accept that misfact. You know, even those of us that live in the area get confused by the number of boroughs and councils and things that we have, particularly in London. But all I can tell you is that in that southwest London region of Chelsea, Fulham, Westminster, all that area, it is all more or less one and the same. They have different named areas within those areas. And that's what those clubs mean. It's not that simple to just change the name Chelsea and put an E in the end. You know, would you change the name London and put two O's before the ON? You know, that's the same thing. It's not easy at all, and it's not really on the table at the moment. It wouldn't be something that would go down well with fans. I mean, it has happened before. When Manchester United fans were upset with their ownership, they went and started. What was it? The club they started, was it Stafford or something? They've started some other club. It happened with Wimbledon, that went to become Milton Keynes Dons, and the name Wimbledon is completely lost. It's more Milton Keynes Dons now because they've moved to Milton Keynes. So that is really tampering with the entire history of the club. It's a nice idea, but I don't think it's going to work at all.
Can I
Yeah,
follow
I
up?
think, and again, like I said, from a business perspective, branding isn't simple. And for modern businesses, branding is very much everything. I think rebranding isn't even it's not cheap. It's a very expensive venture, if you ask me. Greg, you want
Well,
to say something?
yes, I want to say something. Okay, there are certain teams like Arsenal that don't necessarily represent a particular neighborhood. I mean, Arsenal is a subway or what you call a underground tube stop,
Right.
but there's no borough that's called Arsenal.
No, let me answer that.
Uh-huh.
Because this is a club that did move. Arsenal, their location, when Arsenal was founded, they were the Woolwich Arsenal. They started off in Woolwich. They then relocated this same sort of ground thing to North London, and they carried the name Arsenal with them. That's partly the bitterness between Tottenham and Arsenal, because Tottenham were always Tottenham's in North London. Arsenal then moved to the Finsbury Park area. They should really be called Finsbury Park, but then they moved to the Finsbury Park area, but they took their name with them. They took that name from Woolwich. They dropped the Woolwich because they left Woolwich, but they took Arsenal and they went to North London. So they moved from South London to North London.
Okay, so in this case, then the Chelsea plank owners own the name Chelsea, but they don't necessarily own the mascot or the name Lions. We could just call ourselves the Lions Football Club or the London Lions Football Club or something like that, and we take the legacy of the mascot. Or at some point in the past, the Chelsea was named Pensioners, right? So they weren't even always the Lions.
That's a nickname. And the Pensioners came about through the old chaps that fought in the war, and I think there was a sort of pensioners establishment within that area for the veterans. Look, Phantom, it's not going to happen. When Arsenal moved from being called Woolwich Arsenal to Arsenal, they did that in the early founding years of the club. Now, Chelsea have been Chelsea Football Club for 117 years. It's not going to change. It's not going to change. It's too far in the making.
I'm just saying what I'm just saying is that if the owners want to move to a new location and these plank owners said you can't have the name Chelsea, then I don't think we're going to lose fans if we rebranded the name and became the London Lions Football Club instead. And basically, I mean, is Stav not going to come to the stadium, to the new stadium? And if so, there'll be 10 more millennials that'll buy the seat.
Fanta, I hope you're not mad that I'm laughing.
No, I'm not. I'm just talking about economics because these
go ahead.
these old people from the 1960s think that they're some sort of majority, but the Chelsea Football Club is now worldwide, and I think the tickets will sell. I mean, the people who were complaining about the Ricketts were numbering in 250. I mean, we really give a lot of power to these people who have been Chelsea fans forever, but I think that the Chelsea Football Club fanship has grown to become such a large thing that if these season ticket holders don't decide to go, I think that other season ticket holder buyers would just replace them.
Yeah, I think with that, I want to say, everybody.
There's a reason for that, isn't it?
I'll come back to you. Sorry, everybody. So thank you for the great input. I'm not ignoring your comments. I've seen some funny one here. Because so just in the whole Tigers in terms of name change, just to make it work. I think Phantom asks question that brings up some interesting inputs in the chat. But let me see if I can breeze through it quickly. If you don't mind, Declare, please, I'll give you a chance to talk in a bit. Where is it again? I'm trying to find it. Yeah, he says, sounds like whole city Tigers is because you want to make a difference between the two names to go ahead with what you want, which incidentally is up for the taking. Chelsea FC, it can never change. I think that will never happen. I think they will find a common ground and then the name will continue. And I don't think, like Bobby has explained here, the Chelsea pitch owners aren't against progress. It's just that I'd say, from my own perspective, I say it's not easy to deal with them because they respect the historic nature of the current ground, and it's not going to be easy to move. And on occasions, as like Bobby said, they've agreed to the move. But at this time, I think I don't think I think it's True Blue that talked about it, and someone else in the chat. I think Fraser said something about part of the whole process is that you'd agree not to move from Stamford Bridge, but you cannot be sure. We don't know what's really in the contract that they're going to sign. But that's, by the way, says yes, they are called Chelsea and Batista. Okay, yep. And the CPO own the freehold to the pitch and Chelsea FC name. Yep, you've said that before. Farm Council decide that Stamford Bridge Phantom. Again, any permissions to redev Stamford Bridge, you need to ask for Farm Council or Hammersmith and even London Mayor before you can get a green light. Yep, I think, what if we can call it FC Chelsea? Everybody coming up with some ideas. Again, please recognize that the Chelsea pitch owners are not bad people. I think they were established to help save the club. And I think to some point, I think they're still valuable to that cause, if you ask me. And says they need to change the law, so Chelsea can build up wood instead of a Big Ben. I'm not sure what that means. Silly idea, sorry. And Mikhail says, I am sure if they really want to, they can rebuild a Stamford Bridge one stand at a time with added levels. So to add capacity and atmosphere, it's a possibility. There's nothing engineers cannot do these days, and that one it's nothing even something so difficult. More likes, please, before because we still have some minutes to go so that more people can join us. Tigers, yep, that's because still joking. Actually, there were 5 dials when Woolwich Arsenal due to the fact they were near an armory. Okay, yep. Again, so coming to you, Declan. Go ahead with your point, brother.
I was just gonna say that there was a reason why they have so much power. It was to protect the name and the badge. That's it's all by design. If anyone's thinking how to get around them and that, um, just to protect our historical, um, not so much the stadium, but the name and the name in the club should never be changed. The colours never be changed, and some owners could do that, and that's why it's given to the pitch owners. That's why that power is given to them. So it doesn't happen. So for them to have that power is by design, just so everyone knows.
Yeah. And Pierre Kakari says AFC Wimbledon and MK Dons is a fine example of moving a club not really working. And please, Pierre Kakari, I have an important message for you regarding the Roman Abramovich tribute contest. So after the show, I'll send you an inbox. So let me know what you think. And London Blues FC, yeah, keep finding some funny names. Chelsea women 1-up versus Arsenal. Good. Thank you for that update. We want them to win. Maybe that will bring the men's team good luck. Maybe Clovis is a good name. Phantom, you cost all this. You cost all this.
I think you've got to, one thing Phantom needs to perhaps do is just read the history of this club. This is a club that in the 1940s, I think 1945, although there was a war going on, or the war had just finished, they were pulling in 100,000 people to watch their games. 100,000, 80,000. This club is so steeped in tradition in that area, in fellowship. It is such a major part of that part of London. It's not something you can toy with. It's not something that you can say, oh, let's just go over here and call it this. It will inhibit the support. People won't even know what they're supporting anymore. It's going to be hard enough moving from Stamford Bridge with the approval of the fans, not to mention moving with a changing of the name. Quite frankly, it's not going to happen.
Sorry, I think you misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm saying if the plank owners reject a move to a nearby location, let's say Mitcham or Wimbledon or whatever close by location, even Battersea Park. I know you said that they approved of it in the past, but let's say this time they say, no, we will not allow any kind of move away from Stamford Bridge, even though it makes financial sense. Then at that point, if you called it the London Blues FC or the London FC Club or, something similar that still retains part of the heritage, the Lions, whatever, you change the name slightly to get it legally across the legal border of it so that they cannot be sued for the change of the name, then would you drop the team? And if you drop the team, isn't there going to be 2 more people who want to buy season tickets that would buy season tickets and then just replace you as a fan, and the team would be financially better off with the group of new millennial fans that really may not care so much about, being at Stamford Bridge, which is, by the way, in Fulham. So it's kind of ironic that they're kind of defending this. Oh, it has to be in Chelsea, but we've never been in Chelsea before, which makes it kind of ironic.
Look, the truth of the matter is, you can do what you like. You can call anything what you like, but it won't be Chelsea. If you go somewhere else and call it something else, it becomes something else. It will be killing off what Chelsea is. And I know, quite a few of the pitch owners. They won't let that happen either. They became pitch owners to save the club. Their only stance is to try and preserve the location as much as is reasonably possible. They don't want a madness taking place. They've approved the move twice, and they will approve it again. if it makes sense. They're fully aware that the financial progression of the club lies in the expansion. They're not stupid people. They know this. And they want the traditions to be upheld wherever we go. They would love us to stay. Of course they will. But if it proves to be not to be financially viable, a lot of them are business owners themselves. They know that, the reality has to be taken into consideration. But they'll do everything to preserve Chelsea, the name Chelsea. So, but, if suddenly someone decides, oh, you're not playing ball because we want to move to Scotland, we go and call ourselves something else. Well, then you will become something else. It's just as simple as that. So I don't think we should read too much into this. I think there are lots of very clever people trying to come up with clever plans to keep us at Stamford Bridge. We've had all the approvals before from the council, from the mayor, from the pitch owners, everybody to redevelop Stamford Bridge. The only thing that pulled the plug was when Roman was sanctioned and couldn't come back in the country. We've done it before and we can do it again. Everybody knows, even the council know, that the club is looking to do this. Theirs is a health and safety issue and the other residents' issue. Once that is satisfied, they'll give it the green light again because they know it attracts business to the area. Chelsea Football Club is a money maker for everybody. So nobody's not going to want it to expand and develop.
Yeah, and if you haven't, please make sure to go check out Phantom of Many Topics channel. He covers, he uploads travel videos, and I think you will like the he has some good videos there. Go ahead.
Yes, sorry. One final thing. I'm just wondering, because you know the geography better, is there an actual piece of land in this in Kensington or Chelsea, the borough itself of Kensington and Chelsea, that could become a stadium, even if it's more expensive and you have to buy the piece of land? Do you know of any piece of land in Chelsea or Kensington that could fit that criteria, is my question.
I don't particularly know of any piece of such piece of land. The land that was available was Earl's Court, that fits that criteria. Following that, not too far away, was the Battersea power plant, which is slightly out of area, but not that far. I think it's about 5 miles thereabouts. So I don't know. Another problem with the area is that there are a lot of protected buildings and things that can't be knocked down, even if you do want to knock down. And even if they're available, you're going to have to build around them. We had that problem with Battersea Power Station. Those chimneys, they're protected items. So whatever stadium structure we built had to include those chimneys. We managed to get a design to include them, but you couldn't knock them down. They're there. They're protected. So you can imagine there are areas that could possibly be purchased, but the thing is, you'll have a whole bunch of buildings on them that you can't touch.
Right. Well, I mean, that has happened in San Diego, California, where they were building the new baseball stadium, and there was that mineral building or whatever that they couldn't knock over. So they just built it, incorporated into the stadium, and now that old piece of brick building is part of the stadium as kind of like a tourist draw. Even people stand in front of it and take pictures. So and it's built into a modern stadium, but that old building was never knocked down, and it is part of the brand new stadium. It's kind of weird.
I'm sure these possibilities will be explored when the new owners take over. As I said, Roman was ready to go with his Bird Nest stadium, but he couldn't get back into the country, and so that's what paused that. The Battersea Power Plant, we had a design which included the chimneys. It would have been quite unique having a stadium with those huge chimneys as part of it. There's always ways. There's a lot of clever people doing a lot of clever things with architectural design these days.
Okay. Hey, thank you. My phone temperature is giving me an overheat warning, so I have to sign off now. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for that
Hey,
question.
Phantom.
I think it helps us talk about things most people don't know about the club. The club, do you want to add anything to that?
I was just wondering if Phantom's phone was overheating from the suggestions or actually from holding it too long. So that was a concern for me. Um, to also add to it, there was the last plan was to redevelop the area. This where Stamford Bridge was after the power station failed, and it looked like a good one. Maybe the numbers weren't there, but I'm sure it. I mean, some of
It was.
the last idea, yeah,
It
and
was. It was, and it was
any owner
accepted as
can pick
well.
up. Yeah, couldn't they just pick up that and go? Like that's always going to be a solution, unless if they can't find another.
Well, there was a time scale. We had to do it within a certain time, after which we need to reapply. Now we can reapply, but the trouble
Yeah,
is some of the people in the area that reached that agreement may have moved on. And then you've got new people who might think, oh, we can make some money here. So if we, for example, had a 2 million deal with Scott's Cafe to sell up and move out, or at least to as compensation because of the extra traffic, which would be good business for them, by the way. But I'm just giving examples. We might have new people now that own Scott's Cafe. They'll look at it and say, no, I don't want 2 million. Inflation has gone up. I want 10 million. Or I don't want to sell at all. Then the whole negotiation starts all over again. That's what I'm saying. It was terrible. It was awful that we had this. This was done. It was a done deal. Roman was about to go. Then he couldn't get into the country again. That's what stopped the whole thing. And then the time lapse. I think we had 3 years to execute the development, or at least to start the work. And we couldn't start because he wasn't here. He had no idea when he was going to be allowed back in. As it happens, he's still not here. So that's what put paid to that. But yeah, it was done. So because it has been done in the past, it can be done again. It's just that the goalpost may be shifted this time. Who knows how much it will cost to get it across the line? It might even be cheaper. Who knows? We just have to try.
it's probably most likely what you said. Most likely going to go up regardless. But what I was getting at is that let's say if there was no other choice, there is still this plan that they can even if they can actually copy. They don't have to use the same plan. They can copy the same fundamentals and go with that if the other ideas don't work. So I'm saying it's not
Oh,
all lost, I
definitely.
guess.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
not at all. Not at all. They will definitely have to copy some of Roman's plans, because Roman's plans had a solution to be able to build down and build up in order to increase capacity. And I think they were going to even knock down the hotel. I can't remember. So all that was part of it. So of course they'll consider that. They have to. The ability to do it is there, but when Roman did it, it was an estimated cost of about 1.5 billion. Eventually, initially it was under a billion. When it was costed up and they were ready to go, it was about 1.5. Now that was how many years ago now? And inflation has gone up. So now you're looking at nearly double that cost. And
Do
that's
you,
the
do you,
concern.
I was gonna say, do you think, Bobby, that if it's true that the stadium is a criteria, that Roman might be actually giving the plans over as well, and maybe saying, finish finish this work, uh, or find another way, like he's actually because I mean he would have went through so much design and property, and it's probably he could get it renewed, right? And it'll save a lot of money that he's already invested in the whole plans and deal agreements. He could, if it's actually a criteria, could he just be giving that as well with to whoever is the owners
Well,
to probably just continue?
that's a detail we can't know certainly at
No,
this
we
stage. I
all we're
don't
doing is
know. I mean,
guessing, true.
it makes sense. If I was buying the club, and I was certainly by the time a preferred bidder is appointed, I would most certainly approach him and say, look, you had plans before. We want to redevelop. Can we look at your plans? You might have to pay for that sort of information. Or, what do you think? Anybody would. It's common sense. Well, I would think so. It's not plans to develop areas are usually made from previous plans if they exist, and this will be no different. So I'm pretty sure whoever is going to redevelop Stamford Bridge will either take a lot of the ideas from Roman's plan, because it was a workable plan. It was a plan that was ready to go, and do a few extra things themselves, or indeed copy it. I doubt if they'll copy it, because everybody wants to have their own stamp on everything, and they would not want the ghost of Roman Abramovich to keep following them around all the time. They would like to have their own legacy. But absolutely, it's common sense. You've got to turn to somebody who did something that worked, surely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. The question I want to ask, I think the Chelsea pitch owners thing is a bit confusing, because I'm learning from staff here that don't make any profit off of it. So, Bobby, do you have a good understanding of this, of what it is? Please, can you educate us on that?
It's difficult. I'm even going to apply for it on Tuesday, as I said. I want to get in on that, because anybody can. And then I will know more detail. I've always ignored it, because it's always been a group of people that I know have the leasehold to the pitch and are holding up and preserving the name of Chelsea Football Club, and ensuring that nobody comes in and just tries to decimate the club, as we were at risk of at some point. Is it profitable? Well, it can't be that profitable, because it's like, if you own your house, unless you're actually commercializing it, you're not going to make any money from it. So I can understand that there are no huge immediate profits made from being a pitch owner. You're just a pitch owner, and if there are any donations that come to the pitch owners, I'm pretty sure that they would reinvest it into various aspects and things of the club and the preservation of the pitch. Because that pitch needs a lot of preserving. It was initially just a sand pit, and there's been a lot of skill there creating the greenery that we see, and the drainage. So there's quite a bit that goes into sustaining the pitch. So I will agree with Stav. He probably has more knowledge of it and has followed it more keenly than I have. So yes, I can't see it as a big profit-making venture. However, Roman did have a financial deal with them when we were about to move, and indeed when he was going to redevelop. I think they were going to sell the lease to him.
Yeah, I think it's complicated, not that simple to understand. And here's a phrase who also asked, what about naming rights? Will the Chelsea pitch owners accept that? So I'm not sure. I think they're never gonna relinquish that. I think that's one of the most you
Does it
could
mean
say one of,
stadium naming rights?
yeah.
Yeah, you see, that's another thing. I'm not sure it's the same thing. Stadium naming rights is a big thing. You see, Stamford Bridge is such an iconic name. It's like the Bernabeu. It's like Old Trafford. It's not an easy name to brand. To take over. You can do it with people like the Etihad, because they're nowhere. They're no one. The Emirates, well, because Highbury was relocated anyway. If we relocate, it's possible to rename. But because we are not relocating, it's going to be very difficult. It all depends on how much financial sponsorship comes with who wants to rename the stadium, and the lease of the length of time they would have that right, as it were. That's a difficult one, and one that I think I will need to research. We'll all need to research. But
Yeah,
if
it is not that straightforward.
it isn't, but if a sponsor comes with some serious offer, I'm sure it will be considered. Just like anything, money talks.
Yeah, Ty, I see you're back in. What do you have to say?
I'm lost.
You okay? We're actually rounding up, but if you have anything to say, if not, I'm going to go to Declan and Bobby so we can round off. Because we have the pregame show in I think in about an hour.
Okay.
So you have anything to say?
No, like I said, I'm lost. I was out. So I'm not sure where you guys are at.
No, we're talking about the Chelsea pitch owners. I think. I mean, if I think it's somebody True Blue in the chat saying they don't make any money off the whole thing. So I'm asking, trying to find who can educate us on the structure of the Chelsea pitch owners at the thing, so we get to understand better. So if you don't have anything, Declan, do you have anything else to add?
No, I think we've thoroughly gone through a lot of questions and opinions and assumptions, I guess, because we don't have a lot of answers. But what more can we do? We got a big game tonight. We should be focused on that.
Yeah, we should. I think we have a pregame show in about an hour, 20 minutes. So, yeah, in an hour, 10 minutes, I think, yeah, we should prepare for that. Phantom part of Fulham Road runs into Kensington and Chelsea. For that, yeah, okay. So, Bobby, any final thoughts before we round off?
Nothing really. I will give you more info on the pitch owners once I get my application form on Tuesday. Yeah, I mean, there is a big game today. Funnily enough, nobody really seems to be that focused on the game. We know it's important. We want to win it, but so much is happening with us outside of
And I was
the
going to
pitch.
ask, do people that live outside the country, outside the UK, are they allowed to buy shares of the pitch owners? So buy the CPO shares. You do know? You don't know yet?
I'm not sure. There will certainly be, it's like, it will apply the rules of ownership of landed property will apply. I don't know. I've never sort of been outside the country and tried to own anything inside. Well, not this country anyway. So I don't know. I really don't know. I have some doubts, but I don't know.
Okay, and with that, I think we can say we've covered much of everything that we're planned on covering today. Even went beyond that, talked about the pitch owners because it's an interactive show. It's easy to deviate from the main topic and talk about what something that somebody in the chat talked about or questions. But that's, by the way, with that, I want to say thank you to everybody in the chat. True Blue for the great input, Phantom, Pierre for finding time to join, and also just Viola, Queen of the House, the only queen available today. Steve Chelsea, everybody else that found time to join. And what did Pierre say? Yes, I walked down. Okay, that's about where he went to school. So I want to say thank you to you guys all. You provide great value to the stream, and I cannot thank you enough. And for the panel, I say thank you to Tide Talks, Declad, Bobby, and Matt, who was also part of the panel. I cannot thank you guys enough. I will try to remember. If not, Ty, please remind me to add everybody's information in the description section so that whoever wants to reach out to them can do so. With that, I say happy Easter to everybody that celebrate Easter, and I hope to see you guys during the pregame show. See you guys later, and bye.